Hello, I'm here. I'm here, everybody, and I'm here to show you, yes, you, all of you, the next issue of Interactive Entertainment. Pardon me. Hello, Nello, Clip, Kaboom, Navjack, Mail City, Cambrian, and Margarine, and Big Bear Cave, and Lochno, and Lelouch. I know I'm misspelling your name, and there's mispronouncing, not misspelling. Thank you, Nest Wyoming, for the 9-month resub. Appreciate that. Oh my goodness, we got to get started. Hi, Inari. Hi, Tinder and Soldier. Hi, Lochno. I gotta go. I said it right. Hooray! Hooray! Hooray, folks. She's here. Wait, no, she's not here. What the hell, girl? Where'd you go? Where's my girl? Where's my lady? Hold on. She disappeared. Where did you go? Why am I having this problem? Let me fix this. Hold on. There we go. There's our lady.
Bingo! Pasta with all sorts of different sauces.
That's the noise I make. All right. All right. She's here. She's queer. Get used to her. There we go. All right. We're ready to go.
Ooh. Running a little low on product.
Folks, let's just get started. Hope y'all are having a good day. I'm busy. I have a lot of cleaning to do, so I don't know how long this stream's going to be. Not too long. We're just going to go over interactive entertainment in this one, so nothing too crazy. Nothing too wild, nothing too bizarre. No VHS chit tapes, all premium interactive entertainment. Let's go. Oh, that's not good. Hold on. So there's no sound here, but I know exactly what's happening. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, volume mixer. I know what I need to do, folks. No, okay. I need to restart RetroArch. Give me a second here, folks. Thank you all for putting up with my shenanigans. Yeah, RetroArch started and it was playing out of my computer speaker. Also, my monitor has a speaker on it. I always forget about that. Okay. This should work. Yeah, that's the content I'm talking about. Please, God. Yeah. We're not nuking anybody today. We're just gonna be hearing about why the games we like suck or why they rock or whatever. Okay, let me just check something here. That's the horse I wanted to hear. All right, good as gold, baby. Let me just do one more adjustment. There we go. Let's hear that horse. Yeah, again. Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, now we can start interactive entertainment.
Welcome to episode 6 of Interactive Entertainment. This month, IE brings you the first coverage of LucasArts' new first-person shooter, Dark Forces, actually based on playing the game. We've also braved the mean streets of Concord, Massachusetts to bring you our exclusive video interview.
Okay, well.
The advent of more powerful computers has turned Lynx 486 into a working title, but fans who have been eagerly awaiting the successor to the golf game Lynx 386 will be able to learn that the game should look great when it finally arrives. The game's graphics are expected to run 1024 by 768 versus the present 640 by 480.
I think T&E Soft is better.
The game will be
Fuck
on a
off,
CD-ROM
Lynx.
platform, and players will be treated to the fly-by motion of all the holes. If you're looking to let a little magic into your CD-ROM drive, don't despair. Microprose has announced that it has entered into an agreement with pen and paper role-playing game publishers Wizards of the Coast to produce a CD-ROM version of their phenomenally successful Magic the Gathering collectible trading card game.
Ooh.
The initial release will support individual play against a computer
I love
opponent,
how shitty
as
that
well
card
as the ability
looks.
to duel against other human players on a major online network.
I like the
Cards featured
lizard.
in the initial release will include the 300-odd original cards, as well as those from the first 4 expansions, with the possibility of including new expansions in subsequent releases. Microprose hopes to implement the online version and release the accompanying CD
Magic the
by
Gathering's
Christmas
fun.
1995.
It's fine. It's fine.
Just about everyone who has ever played Civilization has thought to themselves what a fantastic multiplayer game it would be. Now it seems we'll get
I'm
our
always
chance.
thinking that.
Microprose has just announced that they plan to produce a network version of Civilization. I knew there was another use
Civ.
for a network besides Doom. Expected to ship in the spring of '95. Software publisher Cyberdreams
Good name.
and award-winning fantasist Harlan Ellison are
What?
combining to work on a computer game which will be based on Ellison's short story, I Have No Mouth and
Oh,
I Must
I know
Scream.
that game.
The short story is an adventure of post-apocalyptic survival deep in the bowels of an omniscient computer that fills the center of the Earth. Its earlier agreement with SSI may not have worked out like it planned.
Oh,
but
is I
TSR
Have No
is still
Mouth, but I Must
interested in
Scream not
licensing its
good?
AD&D
I gotta show it
titles.
off then.
Interplay has announced that it's reached a deal to produce all electronic games from TSR's Forgotten Realms and Planetscape products lines. The agreement allows Interplay to produce computer, home video, coin-operated, and interactive online games. The first product should be released by late 1995. In other Interplay news, the company recently announced that EA Victor of Japan will distribute all of Interplay's PC and Macintosh titles for the Japanese market. In addition, EA Victor will also distribute Interplay's first 4 3DO titles in Japan. The 3DO company has
Beautiful.
announced plans to produce the M2 Accelerator, an add-on upgrade designed to give 3DO owners the opportunity to boost their system to 64
Yeah,
bits.
how'd that work
In a
out for you,
related matter,
3DO?
3DO announced that it was working with IBM, Motorola, and Matsushita to develop a new 64-bit multiprocessor designed
If
specifically
only.
for the 3DO. American Laser Games will
Yeah!
be bringing out 2 CD-ROM releases during the winter. Crime Patrol, a modern-day crime-fighting adventure, is expected to be in stores on a CD
Crime
platform
Patrol.
in January. Mad Dog McCree,
I
an
love
Old West adventure
him.
already available at your local arcade or in a PC format, has a
I love
CD
his
release
big
date
orange
of November.
scarf. Go hook
According
'em
to Billboard
horns.
magazine,
What?
California-based CD-ROM publisher Graphics Zone will release
Graphics
a Bob
Zone.
Dylan CD-ROM title sometime toward the end of the
Did
year.
this ever get,
Folks
get
at Graphics
released?
Zone were inspired by the success of a similar CD-ROM title
Sorry.
based on What's His Name, also formerly known as Prince, which was released by Compton's New Media and has sold more than 30,000 copies to date, according to Compton's. The new Dylan CD-ROM will feature some previously unreleased recordings and will trace Dylan's career from coffee houses in Minneapolis
I want this.
to his recent
I hope
worldwide
this got
endeavors.
released. I really want to play this.
Sim Rainforest, originally scheduled for release in
Wait,
early
wait,
95,
wait,
has
wait.
been
Sim
sent back to the
Rainforest? Did that
drawing
come
board
out?
For what Maxis calls a completely new take on the concept. The shots shown here are from the version being axed. The basic concept, that of protecting or exploiting one of the rainforest regions of the Far East, will stay intact, and we can only assume that the newer version will look at least this good. Maxis' other new Sim games, Sim
Did
Tower
this get
and
released,
Sim Town,
chat?
are shaping up to expectations and should be released on time. Featuring one of the most prolific goal scorers in National Hockey League history, Sport Accolade has announced plans to release Brett Hull Hockey 95 for PC-based computers in January. The game will feature adjustable skills for players, exhibition games, regular seasons of 3 different lengths, and playoffs. With Doom 2 completed, the sick people at id Software are preparing to start work on Quake. Although details are extremely shaky at best, Quake will be a first-person action game.
I like
in a
that Doom
fantasy
guy's
setting.
got an ab
Its features
window.
are purported to
Show off
include
his
the ability
ab.
to look up and down and to climb walls. It will also have an accurate physics model, so if you fall, you'll tumble across your center
Sim
of gravity.
Isle Mission in the
Like
Rainforest.
Doom, it will
Okay,
be
so it kind of
network
came
playable,
out.
and the network game is said to allow an astonishing 125 players in a game. Hope for it sometime in 1995, but don't retire your BFG to the closet just yet. Amtech Software, best known for
Amtech's
their
gone
pinball games,
fishing.
is branching out into a new kind of game
Gone
that few have
fishing.
tackled before. fishing simulation.
Ooh.
Their upcoming CD-ROM game, Gone Fishin', will be a realistic freshwater fishing simulation. Players will load their tackle box with the gear of their choice, then set out to test the waters of over 20 hotspots, many of which you'll have to find on your
20?
own. With highly detailed 256 color graphics, more than 40 lures, and over 50 miles of detailed shoreline to explore, Gone Fishin' will be a sure hit with the fishermen in your family. Since they're part of the same corporate family, it's no surprise that Time Warner Interactive and Warner Books are joining forces in a multimedia project. The two companies are combining to simultaneously create and release a CD-ROM game and novel. Mirage, the story of twin sisters reunited in virtual reality, is being co-written by Matthew J. Costello,
Is this real?
novelist
Did this
and
come out?
scripter of Seventh Guest, and F. Paul Wilson, the best-selling author of The Select. Mirage is scheduled for release in fall of 1995. Time Warner Interactive also recently announced that it has signed a 3-year multi-production deal with Emmy Award-nominated director-producer-conductor Joe Doherty to produce and direct interactive CD-ROM projects. Doherty's first effort for Time Warner will be an interactive
Thank you for the
animated
follow.
version of
Appreciate
and the Wolf,
it.
featuring the voices of Kirstie Alley and Lloyd Bridges.
Kirstie Alley, what the fuck?
Shareware overlord Apogee Software has announced the creation of a new division of the company, 3D Realms Entertainment. As you may have guessed, 3D Realms will specialize in innovative, cutting-edge, three-dimensional games. The first 4 titles to be released under the 3D Realms banner, Ruins, Shadow Warrior, Duke Nukem 3D, and Blood, should start showing up in early to mid-1995. Each game will be marketed in the Apogee tradition of releasing 1 part shareware and 2 parts retail, and will feature modem and network play. The in-house level editors used to create the games will also be made available to the public. This could be the start of a beautiful friendship.
Thank you for liking my NeoCity site. It's simple, but it gets the job done.
Microsoft and the Reader's Digest have entered an agreement to produce CD-ROM titles based on the editorial content of Reader's Digest's best-selling books. The product will be marketed by both
I've played
companies.
this. This came out.
The first release is expected to be on store shelves in the summer of 1995. The Virgin Group has formed a new division that will release products for the non-game interactive software market. Virgin Sound and Vision will be releasing its first set of CD-ROM titles this fall. Virgin's One Tribe is an interactive encyclopedia of people and cultures featuring music from Peter Gabriel's real-world artists. Virgin's One World Atlas, which allows the user to travel the world while discovering geographic and political facts about each country. And Frantic Factory, a word association project featuring a simulated assembly line with puzzles, words, and games.
Do you like Peter Gabriel?
Ocean Software is entering the game packaging business with a splash. The company is working with Digital Image Design to distribute DID's Virtual Worlds, a compilation of 3 CD-ROM games. The games included in the package are F-29 Retaliator, RoboCop 3,
will it mention
and
homosexuality? Oh, no.
Activision is giving old gamers a chance to reminisce about their old days with the seminal Atari 2600 machine, with an anthology for Windows and DOS on disc and CD-ROM.
Ooh la
The
la!
first compilation, slated for release in February of 1995, will include 10 to 15 vintage titles, including Pitfall, Kaboom, River Raid, and Chopper Command.
Okay, so that's a bit of news. What's on the cover? Dark Forces. I think that's also in the table of contents. So let's go. Folks, it's time for the interactive interview. Hey, Boffo Games, more like Biffo Games. How did you get started designing and writing games?
I majored in some completely unrelated area when I was at MIT that had nothing to do with computers, and was pretty miserable in that area for my first couple years after I graduated. And
Biffo Games.
The people I was rooming with was Mike, who's one of our 3 founders for Boffo.
Hi, Mike.
And he was Infocom's tester at that point. Infocom didn't even have an office yet. He was testing out of our living room. And then he went off to business school, and Mark Blank, who was the head of development at Infocom, said, "I need another tester, would you be interested?" And I said, yes, and I did that for about a year. And then he said, how would you like to try writing a game? And I said, sure.
Okay.
Spent another year doing that.
Sorry, I shouldn't dunk on Steve. He seems normal. Were you a class clown in school?
when I was a kid, I never really perceived myself, or I don't
They
think
only
I was
released
perceived
2
by others as
games,
being
aw.
particularly funny. And in fact,
Thank you,
when I
Wolfadon.
started
Appreciate
on
the
Planetfall,
follow.
I was not intending to write a comedy adventure game. I was just, intending to write an adventure game, and it was really only after people started playing it, they started saying, hey, this is, a lot funnier than any adventure game I've ever played.
What are your major humor influences? It better be Mad Magazine, or else I'm gonna riot.
When Monty Python's Flying Circus came out, I was a big fan of that.
Oh, you're inspired by, you're a 90s comedian
been,
inspired
the
by
early
Monty
70s
Python?
during
Wow.
my high school years. And I don't know, I'd say another comic influence was Woody Allen. I was a big fan of his. Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
Nothing too unusual or out of the mainstream.
Yeah, were all your Infocom games humorous?
No, not entirely. The most serious game I did for Infocom was one called A Mind Forever Voyage.
I remember A Mind Forever Voyaging. What? God damn it. Now tell me, Sir Steve, what was so unusual about A Mind Forever Voyaging?
So it was quite a different product, and it was very, very much oriented toward story and not as much toward puzzles, the way traditional adventure games are. And in general, it was not well received by the hardcore Infocom audience, who wanted something, more like, a Zork or a Planetfall. And it was
You only want Zork if you're a big dork. Are you planning to do more? I don't care about serious games. What is different about writing games today in the far-off future of 1994?
Nowadays, there's just such a collaborative effort with, whole teams of people working on art and music and sound and, programming staffs of half a dozen and stuff like that. It's become, a completely different process, and, it's no longer possible for one person to micromanage everything the way I was able to do in the early days.
Did you find it easy to shift to graphic games? Oh, actually, I want to know about the Superhero League of Hoboken. I crave that game, and I may play it at some point because I love New Jersey. Did you know this is Lost Gumball? Thank you so much for the 4 months. Lost Gumball, and now I'm humble. That's terrible. I object. I was going to say, in New Jersey, they passed rights protections so libraries don't have to deal with all those books being banned. So shout out to New Jersey. You can go there and look up homosexuality without fear.
Actually, I had wanted to do it at Infocom back toward the last days there, and it actually might have been my next project at Infocom had Infocom not gone away.
How'd you come up with the ideas for Hodge and Podge?
Like Superhero League of Hoboken, it's a game design that I've been working on for about 5 years. It's not quite as old as Superhero League of Hoboken. I started working on it during the summer after Infocom folded.
Ooh, I got an email from my pals that I was poisoned. And it looks like all over Austin people are having... Let's see here. It's claimed that they're having explosive liquid diarrhea at 3 a.m. Thank you for the update. I was poisoned. How long did you work for Infocom?
I was there for about 7 years.
7 years. What was the downfall of Infocom?
Infocom was getting increasingly pigeonholed into a, people wanted sort of very hard, very puzzle-oriented adventure games, preferably either science fiction or fantasy. And kind of the more you delivered to that audience, sort of the more rabid they got, and the more concentrated it got, and it almost became a trap.
They bitch you. Yes, it's all poop, shit, ass in the city of Austin. Is it harder to write games today than in the text-only days?
For the legend style of games, I'd say there's still, about the same amount of writing.
Okay.
For something like Planetfall, for a system like that, where, all the dialogue is going to be filmed, there's definitely by, by the laws of how much space that
Neo
takes up
Zero,
is,
thank
definitely not
you.
gonna be
6
as much
9 month
space
resub.
for,
Goodness gracious,
for
thank you,
dialogue,
thank you.
And the writing is very minimized in that system.
And did you find it easy to shift to graphic games?
I think you could almost take any game design that I did, back as a text adventure and adapt it, to that same system with, not very significant changes.
What was the philosophy of Infocom's game design?
Infocom's sort of philosophy with text adventures was extreme portability. There was the game, and then there was the interpreter, and there's an interpreter for every machine, and as soon as a game was written, the interpreter would make it run on every machine, so you sort of had instant portability.
And let's see here. What did you enjoy about the Hitchhiker's Guide game?
Converting, something from another medium to an adventure game was, very different. Working, with another author in a collaboration is really the only time I've done that.
All right. What is the reference to Douglas Adams in Planetfall?
There's an escape pod, and you land on the planet, and after the crash, a panel pops open, and there's a medical kit and a food kit and a towel, and if you look at the
Taizo,
towel, it
thank you
says,
so much for the
escape pod number 42.
sub. Oh, goodness gracious, we've done all the questions. Let's get out of here. Ba-boom. All right, friends. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. What if I read all of the letters in this terrible voice? Oh, my God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8? You know what? I'll try 4, and we'll see how that goes. I've just gotten an issue, and I realized there were no ads in it. Please try as much as you can to keep the ads out of IE. Do you know how annoying it is to be watching a review of a game and then have it interrupted right in the middle for an ad? I know you have to have some ads sometimes, but please try to keep them as short as possible. BB from Mill Valley. Well, we're glad you like the lack of ads in the past few episodes, but I encourage you not to get used to it. We've got an ad salesman these days. This means good news and bad for you. The good news is we'll probably get a lot more demos than we've been having so far. Bad news is we'll probably get some ads too. But don't worry, we'll try not to make them so bad that nobody wants to view the disc. Okay. I think the interactive interviews interface needs to be changed a little. Such as, once a whole page of questions is read, you no longer keep going back to that page. Also, BB of Mill Valley. If you think it's hard to watch, try testing it sometime. Wink. Actually, as I've mentioned before, we're working on a next generation interface. And this is one of the problems we're addressing. Don't know when we'll implement it, though. Keep my Christmas list, will ya? Will you please put a database, ASCII, on the consumer's drive that will keep track of marked listings? This will allow us to go through your CD, mark the ones we are interested in, and then edit our Christmas list. If you incorporate it as a bookmark, it will make it easy on those of us who play your previews time and time again just to drool. Don't drool on the previews, pal. This is an idea we hadn't even thought of. I don't think we'll be doing it anytime soon, though, if 15,000 people write us and tell us they want it, though. There are quite a few problems to overcome in implementing it the way you suggest. However, we do plan to start putting an ASCII list of every article that has ever appeared on IE in each disc. Will that do it for you? Will it? What happened to Roberta? I am relieved to see you fixed the video problems from IE3 and IE4. That threw me for a loop when the video in the interview in IE2 was great, then seemed to take a giant step back in IE3. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. NM of Austin, Texas. I like that my mouth opened for each clap. That's exactly how. I clap with my mouth. See, listen. Beautiful. The interview with Roberta Williams is okay for the first 5 seconds. Then it will start slowing down. Interview 4's interview is okay throughout. Any ideas? Says GE of Honolulu, Hawaii. Please don't adjust your set. No, there's nothing wrong with your machine. The short form of the answer is we screwed up. We shot too little video of Roberta to make it interesting interactive. Then we botched it further by using a buggy piece of development software which compiled the video at something like 1 frame every 5 seconds. What can I say? We're all too human here at IE and we occasionally make mistakes. Whoppers sometimes. We're making every effort to ensure that this doesn't happen again, and we plan to re-interview Roberta in a couple of months. Good. All right, folks, that's all for me. Fiddle-dee-dee. I'll see you in hell. Fiddle-dee-well. That sound was the horse kicking off my jester gear with their hooves. They're just like, "Rrr." That's what they're doing. All right, screen flipping is slow. I'm also having problems with the delay in being able to select an article until a full picture is displayed in the upper right-hand window. It's not bad on the title screen, but gets annoyingly too long in the preview and review section, as well as the individual categories of reviews. If this is the way future issues will be, I would like to cancel my subscription and ask for a refund. Except for this delay, I like your publication and would consider continuing it. Maybe you could put a switch in the option menu to turn the photos off. Sorry, in the episode you were talking about, we tried experimenting with doing some different wipes and fades on the flipping screenshots in the menu windows. What we find out from our viewers is that this affects are very system dependent. If you have a slow machine or hard drive or video card, these things can take forever. So we've stopped using them. Hopefully you aren't experiencing this slowdown problem since episode 5 or so. Do you think it might be possible to upgrade the sound quality in the interviews? Audio is very good in the rest of the material, but so poor in some of the interviews that I usually terminated them before they were finished, says TJ of Germantown, Maryland. Germantown. When interviewing someone for the interactive interview, would you mind holding the microphone just a little bit closer to the person's mouth? It's hard to make out what they're saying. That's true, actually. That's an issue we've been having for a while here. Not only is it possible, we've done it. The problem that was that we were doing interviews with a Zoom mic built into our camera. You fools! We are now using a lapel mic. If you look at the Steve Moretsky interview on the CIS, you can see him wearing it. Well, we still aren't 100% satisfied with the audio. It's about as good as it's going to get until we start flying people out to Vermont to interview them in our studio. But I've already got video for Windows. Isn't there a way to not have to install video for Windows Runtime Driver every time I install IE? I've seen other programs where it can detect that this driver is already installed. Says NM of Austin, Texas. Well, we tried detecting it and found out the hard way that the detect routines are quite capable of finding video for Windows installed on a machine, even if it isn't. So now we have to install it all the time, saving a bunch of people expensive phone calls in which we explain how to install it manually. Sure, it's kind of annoying, but it doesn't really do anything bad to your machine. Just replaces some existing files with the exact same stuff. And it saves us a lot of headaches and tech calls. Online reviews, please! Waiter! Waiter! Online reviews, please! How about a review of multiplayer Battletech on Genie? Please don't ignore all of us online gamers. Don't ignore all of us online gamers. Neverwinter Nights on AOL is one of their most popular features. Check them out. Says MM of Bayou La Batterie, Alabama. Nothing could be better than to be These are the early onliners. As anyone who's followed these letters know, we've been working on getting online for months and months and months. As of episode 7, we will have accounts on all major services, so we'll start doing a review of one new online game each month. Talk about wish fulfillment. All right, so that's a lot of letters this time. Some by the same people, but I'm glad I'm not the only one I'm glad chat wasn't the only one who's like, fix your audio, because it really does need to be fixed. All right, let's go to the previews. I do like the preview music. Alone in the Dark 3.
There The days of the good, clean, fun Western are over, gang.
They're over.
Movies like The Unforgiven and writers like Joe R. Lansdale have made Gary Cooper cowboys as obsolete as pickles from a barrel. To top that off,
Would you
iMotion
eat pickles
is
from a
continuing
barrel?
the Alone in the Dark series in the so-called ghost town of Slaughter Gulch. Let's just say that rumors of the Gulcher's death have been highly exaggerated. Slaughter Gulch was founded by a vicious cowpoke by the name of Jed Stone. He done stole the territory from a bunch of Indians. Navajo, to be precise. In fact, the land was sacred to its former owners. That may have something to do with the fact that to this day, no one dies there. So, did immortality give the citizens of Slaughter Gulch a more placid and meditative outlook on the world? Can you teach a bear to crochet? Nope. They was the same old mean, nasty folks as before, and they just went ahead and shot each other, same as always. They just didn't die. Lots of folks running around with bullet holes, ventilating their torsos, missing their heads, and stuff like that. So what does all this have to do with our favorite detective of the supernatural, Edward Carnby? Well, naturally, he gets caught in the middle of the whole mess thanks to the reappearance of a character from Alone 1, Emily Hartwood. Carnby ends up trying to stop
There we
Jed
go.
Stone from carrying out his plan to set off the big
I could teach a
San
bear to
Andreas
crochet,
quake
too.
and send California into the ocean.
Yeah, Biffo
Even
can
Carnby
make
can't hope to
plenty
hold
of
out forever
things.
against these twisted cowboys, and eventually he's going to get killed.
Cat!
But since he's in Slaughter Gulch, he's not actually going to die. With the help of a Navajo shaman, Carnby gets reincarnated as a wildcat and has
What?
to prove his valor to reclaim his body. And the town has already made itself a new, evil version of Carnby, so he's in for a very confusing gunfight.
Okay.
By the way, these gorgeous pen and ink backgrounds were
Ooh.
created by French comic book artist Joel Mouclier. They were used to aid in the set construction, but iMotion liked them so much that they'll appear in scanned form in the title sequence of the game's floppy version.
Okay.
iMotion says that Alone 3 will mark the end of the current trilogy. Does that mean no more Carnby? Absolutely not. The series will continue, but Alone 4 will use a completely different engine that will use many more polygons in the graphics.
Many
and
more
will allow the
polygons.
player full control over the camera angles. Alone in the Dark 3 will contain every staple of the traditional Western. Gold diggers, a crazy banker, a saloon full of traps, sharpshooters, you name it. There's even a tribute to Sam Peckinpah in a slow-motion gunfight sequence. All these elements are mixed together and then given the trademark Carnby twist, so you can never be sure what's going to happen next.
Never.
Dark 3 will be available this winter, so practice your draw, partner.
He does accents as good as I do, which is no. Anyways, battles in time.
Designer Bruce Williams of QQP will soon be bringing us a war
QQP.
game from a futuristic world of peace.
Yeah,
1,000
Biffo
years
already
in the
sucks
future.
eggs.
Peace has broken out everywhere in the last 500 years of this 1,000 years forward. As a result, all history books of war, all weapons of war, all knowledge of war have been burnt and thrown away because
Nice.
everything is peaceful and docile and everybody's
That's what I
happy,
wanna
and there's
do.
No movies, no books, everything has been destroyed. There's absolutely nothing. There's not even the record that there was a war ever fought, World War II or Napoleonic or whatever.
Only the highest members of the benevolent planetary government are privy to the secret that war ever existed, and there are no problems until a faction of human society that remembers war decides that they want to take over. Left without even memories of tactics, the peaceful humans struggle to defend themselves. This is the opening storyline in Battles in Time, a gigantic
Okay.
strategy game coming soon from
Yeah,
QQP.
war's never
The
been
highest
so much
leaders of
fun.
Earth remember war, and to preserve the peace of the planet, you will too. Crude time travel has been developed, and the one who learns the most about warfare will lead the defending forces. Earth's administrators have formulated a plan.
With this new time machine, they've taken some of their most brilliant middle-aged people that they can muster up. and they said,
Middle-aged?
Well, go back in time, and the object is to fight different battles.
And whoever fights those battles
You
best
can't have
becomes the
middle-aged
new general,
soldiers.
who will lead the forces of a peaceful Earth against the warmongering dissidents. As a plot, it's good. As a game, it promises to be excellent. You'll lead armies in the American Civil War, World War II, ancient Rome, the Napoleonic era, even the Stone Age. Each era will offer its own strategic challenges, and you'll develop the knowledge of fighting and weaponry necessary to preserve peace back in your home time. The whole game will culminate
Do you
in a
think
massive
cavemen
battle
had
in
their
the
own
future.
Storm and
Battles in
Norman?
Time can be played with up to 4 sides in a battle, and any combination of human and electronic opponents is possible. For a real challenge,
Instead
take
of
on
Storm
3
and Norman,
computerized
they had
opponents by
Rock and
yourself.
Bakken.
They'll be fighting each other as much as you, but the tide can turn
Famous
nasty.
for his use of
The battles
rocks.
themselves work on 2 distinct levels, strategic and tactical. On the strategic level, you assign armies that can consist of any mix
Storm
of any
and
sorts of
Grog.
forces you
Yeah,
have available.
exactly.
A World War II army might be a mix of armor and artillery, for instance, with bazooka troops and infantry thrown in any mix you prefer. A Roman army might consist mostly of shock troops, or a heavy contingent of archers. The armies are moved across the map with a simple point-and-click interface. You can also field camouflage dummy units to baffle your opponent. particularly opponents not wise enough to make heavy use of reconnaissance.
The
I'm
fakery
baffled.
that goes on in these maps, the strategic maps, are truly a lot of fun. One of my favorite tactics is I lead an 8 or 9
I like that
piece
photo of
group
him because he
as they
looks
come
like
up
he's
this
melting
coast.
into the chair.
First 2 or 3 are blanks or camouflage. So when he encounters them, he assumes I'm coming up with all blanks, and all of a sudden that's my main army behind him, kind of thing. And I often catch them off guard, and I get behind his lines.
When two armies meet, the screen switches to a tactical display, which will look like an animated Wargamer's tabletop, complete with leveled hills and terrain. Even city fights, bridges, and more arcane terrain features will be included, with differing emphasis depending on the tactical flavor of the time period you're fighting in. Units are deployed and fight it out here in quick tactical skirmishes, lasting from 1 to 3 rounds. The unit that takes the least amount of loss in that time holds position as the winner. Most battles won't be fought to the bitter end. This will ensure a fast-paced and more authentic simulation of war. All of the displays are
Stonen,
friendly and
Gronen,
easy to use, and a lot of
Rockschkoff. I like
information will be
that.
available to help you get the most out of your forces. Clicking on the units will show not only available targets, but colored symbols showing how much you'll damage them, and whether or not there's a chance of missing. Learn to use these, the computer certainly won't forget to. Strategy games come and go, but the
They
best
sure
ones stay
do.
with us, and we go back to them time and time again. QQP is dedicated to creating that kind of game with Battles in Time. A game that has been on the mental drawing board for 20 years in the head of designer Bruce Williams. If what we've seen so far is any indication, it looks like Battles in Time will take strategy games and gamers to places they've never been before.
What about? Oh, this is the one that was on the cover. It's time for the big Dark Forces
If you like
review.
Doom and you like Star Wars, you'll own a
preview.
copy of Dark Forces by the year's end. Combining the hottest type of computer game around with one of the most popular movies of all time, LucasArts is developing a fast-paced shooting frenzy that can't help but be a monstrous success. Polish up your blaster and flip that stupid blast shield up, kid. You'll
Okay.
need your eyes for this one. In Dark Forces, the situation is once again gloomy for the rebels. The Empire has started production of
What's
the Dark
wrong with that
Trooper, a mechanized
stormtrooper?
super stormtrooper, which will surely spell, doom for the Alliance. You must stop the implementation of these ghastly machines. You'll face impossible odds, but that's not exactly a news flash to you, is it?
Very
now, nobody's
Chungus,
complaining
yeah.
too loudly about Doom's interface, so don't expect LucasArts to do much unnecessary monkeying with it. Arrow keys to move, control to shoot, alt to strafe, you know the deal. There'll be a few new keys you didn't have to think about before, but I'm getting ahead of myself. If you've played Doom, Dark Forces won't confuse you. If you haven't, the concept
It
of
is a
fun
Super Trooper.
will confuse you. The graphics in
Welcome,
Dark Forces
Catman.
are terrific and fast. This game runs just as fast as Doom, and except for the occasional pause to load in new graphics, is very smooth. Doom fans will appreciate the option to run in full screen mode and still have your gauges visible. The display on the left keeps track of your shields and health both graphically and numerically, and the one on the right shows your energy units, which are used to fire your weapons. You'll be seeing a lot of your old friends like Imperial Guards, disgusting bounty hunters, and
That's not my
stormtroopers
friend.
galore. The troopers are better marksmen here than in the movies, but you still won't mistake them for Han Solo. The soundtrack, which of course features many familiar pieces by John Williams, is rousing, and the digitized sound effects from the movie are perfect. Although Dark Forces resembles its Doom engine very closely, LucasArts has actually created their own proprietary 3D engine called Jedi, which has a few improvements. For starters, you're able to look up and down, which is extremely beneficial since you'll often come across stormtroopers shooting at you from high ledges and platforms. You're also able to jump. Although you won't set an Olympic record, you won't be annoyed by tantalizing objects that are clearly visible but just out of reach. Instead of progressing from level to level, you must complete missions with predefined objectives. It's very common for a scenario to be comprised of more than one level, making Dark Forces a true 3D game. Much like in X-Wing, your character's progress is monitored, and you aren't allowed to move on to other missions until you successfully complete the current one. With the scenarios of Dark Forces being made up of multiple levels, a good automap is essential. LucasArts must have realized the value of an automap you can move around in, and they've improved upon it. A tap of the tab key will pull up a zoomable automap without even having to leave the main menu. Repeated presses of the tab key will cycle through different detail levels, and you can still move around and see where you're going. Anyone who's seen the Star Wars trilogy will find themselves in some familiar territory. Many of the scenarios take place on Imperial ships and even the Death Star. You'll even encounter the light bridge and the trash compactor. But not all the locations will be well known, as the plot of Dark Forces is an extension of the Star Wars saga, not a reiteration of it. No first-person shooter, Star Wars or otherwise, is complete without some really big guns to play with, and Dark Forces is no exception. You'll start off with a standard wimpy blaster, but before long you'll get an improved model with a faster firing rate, From there, you get to toy with some sort of mutant plasma rifle, a weird area effect vaporizing gun, and one big grenade launcher that lobs devastating shells at those unfortunate enough to stand in front of it.
Ooh.
Doom and Star Wars fans are chewing their own fingers off in anticipation.
Folks,
and
are
with
you
just
chewing your
cause.
own finger
After
off?
playing around with it for a few days,
I
I've
am.
come to the conclusion that no true Star Wars fan can be without this game. It's a delight to play, and is by far the best Doom clone I've seen yet. You'll have to wait until November or December for it, but go ahead and get psyched up now. You won't be disappointed.
You won't be disappointed. All right, dragon lore. What's the lore on these dragons?
Every once in a while, a graphically impressive CD game hits the shelves, and
Chewing other
suddenly
people's
becomes the
fingers
new
off,
standard
that's
by
fair.
which all other CD
That's
games are
something a
judged.
wolf would do.
Seventh
That
Guest
makes
was
sense.
first, and was followed a couple of years later by Myst, which currently reigns supreme. It might not for much longer, though. The challenger to the throne is on its way from Software Toolworks, and it's called Dragon Lore. No foolin'. This is one of the best, if not the best-looking game I've ever seen on any platform. I could probably drone on for 6 or 7 more captions about how cool it looks, but my editor says I have to cater to the key-sheeting, chess-playing nerd types who think gameplay is important. Just kidding. I think it's important too. Not only does Software Toolworks expect Dragon Lore to surpass all other games of its type on the PC, they also hope to pioneer role-playing on the 3DO home system. You can look for a 3DO version of Dragon Lore shortly after the PC version is released. The 3DO's graphic capability should allow for the same excellent visuals found on the PC. Good gameplay is the guts of a game, though. And
Good
seeing some
gameplay
guts
is
would
the
be
guts of a
welcome
game.
change in the trend of most 3DO games
Yeah,
thus
it's
far.
very brown.
Does
Do
Dragon
you-
Lore
oh
have
my
the balance
God.
that so many could-have-beens lacked? From what I've
Wow.
seen, the answer is a resounding yes.
He's
Cashing
got
in on the
an
popular
look at that
first-person
mullet.
perspective trend, Dragon Lore puts you in the shoes of Werner,
There's something I've got to tell you, Werner.
a young man who finds out that he lives with an adopted family.
Even though you're like a son to me. Today you're 18 years old. It's time for you to discover your past and forge your destiny.
And sets out to discover his true past. Werner's hair is something to behold.
It's a big
I
ass
think he
mullet.
could use it as a weapon. Speaking of weapons, you won't find as much emphasis on bloody melee here as you would in most CRPGs.
I love
Dragon
how he
Lore is meant as
looks.
more of an intuitive adventure with RPG elements included. The object isn't to kill things and search them for treasure, it's to gain clues to your own mystery. In those uncommon moments where relief can only come via decapitating an enemy, you can use your trusty sword to wreak havoc. It's found early in the game. Dragon Lore is graphical, and by that I don't mean it has good graphics. I mean there's almost a complete and total absence of text. You may see a sentence or two on screen when an NPC talks to you, but you can ignore it because Dragon Lore's digitized speech lets you listen to it instead. Notice I say, you may see. This is because most tasks Werner must carry out can be accomplished in either a violent or intelligent manner. Depending on how you choose to solve something, a character you meet later in
Wow.
the game may have a different
Sorry,
opinion.
I love the way he's chewing the bone.
Generally, the more violent you become, the more difficult a time you'll have.
Yeah, forget
If you
reading.
don't already know, a typical CD can hold almost 700 megabytes of data. Given that, there are graphically excellent games out there that take up only 15 or 20 megabytes on a hard disk. You'd wonder what could possibly take up enough space to warrant a CD-only format for a game. In a word, animation. Not only does Dragon Lore hit you with a full motion introduction at the beginning, but it also contains multiple transition animations inside the game. You'll see these when you travel great distances between areas. Is this sounding too good to be true? Well,
Yes.
for now, it is. Dragon Lore probably won't be released until early 1995. By that time, I hope everyone who's viewed this preview has already placed an order for it. CD-ROM owners have complained of a lack of good CD-only titles. Dragon Lore should quiet them, maybe for good.
Okay. You had that horrible mullet guy.
With MechWarrior 2 now delayed, maybe as far off as March, the
No.
market for games with really big robots is left wide open. The upcoming Dynamics game, Metaltech Earthsiege, seems poised to reap the benefits of the starving hordes longing to crawl into the skull of gargantuan robots and make large holes in computer-generated landscapes. We recently had a chance to
Enough
pilot
about
these
large
behemoths
hole,
around
man.
and found out that it's not the size of your robot that counts, it's how you use it. Earthsiege has the standard background plot for a game of its type. Some years in the future, artificial intelligence technology has taken quantum leaps forward, leading the military to believe AI is a perfect way to pilot large death machines called Hercs without bruising their fatigues. The the governments of the world enter an AI war, each trying to get the upper hand until the AI-controlled robots become sentient and decide to do away with those silly little humans. Now the human resistance,
they're always
equipped
doing away with
advanced
us humans.
robots on the verge of obsolescence, must fight back.
On my way.
Control is bound to be an issue when you're piloting a vehicle of this size and complexity. Fortunately, Dynamics has allowed for just about every controller combination under the sun. You can play with no joysticks, 1, 2, or the specialty sticks from CH Products or Thrustmaster. If you have the hardware, the best way to turn your Herc's torso from side to side is with a set of Thrustmaster rudder pedals. But those of us on a budget can buy a Y cable and another stick to get the job done.
This is a recon mission. Sweep the area and report back.
Unlike Battledrome, the other Dynamics robot game in waiting, Earthsiege allows you to play specific missions with individual goals, as well as chain missions together as a campaign. Your commanding officer will give you the lowdown before each mission, as well as comment on your performance, if you manage to return. If you get the CD version or buy the optional speech pack, you'll never have to read a single dialogue balloon. Learning how to operate a Herc can be a daunting task, so Dynamics has thrown in enough adjustable mission parameters to keep even your own grandma
alive and shooting.
Apart from selecting the level of difficulty,
yeah, okay,
you can give
whatever.
yourself unlimited ammo, make yourself invulnerable to attack, even change the visibility and time of day to make your next Herc test drive as easy or impossible as you want. If you don't feel like signing up for a whole tour of duty, you can select a single mission to play without affecting your career. The missions are divided into categories, allowing you to do standard patrol, wipe out an enemy base, defend your own base from attack, or other types of activities that involve blowing things up. Your missions won't be easy, so you'd better get all the information you can before you leave the safety of your base. This is an area where Earthsiege really shines. Your mission briefing includes an animated map that shows you exactly where you're expected to go, what you're expected to find, and what you're expected to do with the things you find when you get where you're going to. This information is then fed into your nav computer, letting you concentrate on staying alive.
Ah! Jesus Christ, I'm awake,
you have
okay.
8 different Hercs to hurt things with, each with different abilities.
Okay, sorry, audience. I think you're awake now,
fast
too.
Scout vehicles to intimidating monstrosities that resemble King Kong with guns. Each Herc comes with standard armament, but you can
what if they
upgrade
did
your
give King
weapon
Kong
if you have the
guns? Think
equipment at
about
your
it.
disposal. Metaltech Earthsiege looks to be shaping up to be great fun for anyone with a big gun thing. It's fairly complex, but the cockpit controls are laid out intelligently, and the control scheme is about as flexible as you could ask for. If you've been waiting a long time for a game with really big robots shooting really big guns at really big targets, look for Earthsiege to fulfill all your high-caliber needs.
All right, if you want to shoot a bunch of shit, it's time for Earthsiege. All right, next up is FPS Baseball. I forgot it was Front Page Sports.
Play ball!
It's quite possible that the MLB player strike will still be going on when you hear this.
Oh yeah! Remember the player strike?
I'm not a diehard fan, but I know that for people who are, nothing can really take the place of baseball. There are plenty of things that supplement the game, though, the best of which are computer simulations, which will probably be getting more and more use as the strike continues. If you find yourself suffering from baseball withdrawal, I urge you to look for relief in Sierra's upcoming Front Page Sports Baseball. It's as realistic as it gets. Players of sports games are undoubtedly aware of the Front Page Sports series. The 3 incarnations of the famed football version all sold well and were acclaimed for their excellent graphics and realistic movement. FPS Baseball continues these trends and includes the real rosters of every major league team in its first release. That should be great news for Phillies fans. They can now take control of their team and really pound on the Blue Jays. Good baseball games must go way beyond pitching and hitting. Lately, even console games have included some rudimentary management functions, but they can't match what can be done on the PC. In this game, you can take the role of manager and even owner, designating trades and participating in the annual draft. These are optional events, of course, but hey, take a stab at the draft and you may just select the next Cal Ripken. There's even more to do before you get to the playing field. Create your own league by using existing teams, or if you're a true madman, create one from scratch. Players are rated from 1 to 100 in several categories, which vary depending on their position. Further customization possibilities include the selection of colors and uniform numbers. If you couldn't give a flying pop-up about research and paperwork, though, go right into the game and have a ball. The most enjoyable parts of sports games are found on the playing field.
I like the really bright blue.
Movement is realistic. The ballparks
very
are
teal.
Realistic. The reaction times are realistic. And even the digitized yells of ballpark vendors trying to sell you programs are realistic. Do you get the point? This high-resolution view is the one you'll be looking at for most of the game. A pop-up menu lets you choose either your pitch or your swing with the 2 button presses. A pitcher will have different levels of accuracy in 3 or 4 pitches and will throw his best pitch accurately most of the time. Choosing pitches which he's not that good at, though, might produce poor results. With batting, all that's left to do after choosing your swing is to actually swing. Timing is everything here. You'd be surprised at how easy it is to swing at a fastball after it has already passed the plate. A different view is presented after the ball is put into play, i.e. after a hit. Players of console baseball games will recognize this view immediately. Fielding is a little trickier than pitching or hitting, but if your reaction time is quick, you'll have no trouble getting to the ball and throwing to a base. After a season game, stats are compiled for the team and for individuals. Trades and roster moves are possible between games and can be a deciding factor in the outcome of the following game. I must admit that I was slightly disappointed to find no player strike option. After all, what's a baseball season without a strike? It's true that a few baseball games already on the market let you do everything that FPS Baseball lets you do. It's just that FPS Baseball does them all better and prettier. If just playing a baseball game is enough to make you happy, then there are a lot of options already available. But if you want complete control over the whole process and you have a powerful machine, the games in the Front Page Sports series stand alone as the most complete sports simulations ever produced.
All right, so folks, if you like baseball, get yourself some not first-person shooter baseball, but front-page sports baseball. Next up, Flying Nightmares.
Domark is currently putting the wraps on their first Sega CD game entitled Flying Nightmares to be distributed by Time Warner Interactive.
Chat, did this come out?
This combat flight sim is a conversion from both Mac and PC platforms. Flying Nightmares promises to push the Sega CD to its limits with CD-quality sounds and special effects. Flying Nightmares will feature control of a full range of weapons, including laser-guided missiles, cluster bombs, and radar-jamming pods. And the action begins as soon as you're in the on-deck circle. One of the goals of Flying Nightmares is to have tighter controls than most Sega-based flight sims are accustomed to. In the graphics department, Flying Nightmares features texture-mapped polygon graphics with multiple cockpit views, as well as external and missile camera angles. And speaking of angles, Flying Nightmares will feature a bailout view so you can still see your surroundings as you eject and sail to the ground, if you make it that far. A primary feature of Flying Nightmares will be the full-motion video sequences, and its advanced artificial intelligence will ensure that no campaign is ever the same.
Did get a 3DO release. Okay.
Sometime in the late fall.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Oh, shit, Nad.
Interactive Entertainment is the world's #1 selling CD mag. And now you can have IE delivered to your door every month and save up to $60 off the newsstand price. Our reviewers give you a guided tour of the most current releases, letting you know which games are must-haves and which ones deserve a leash. As a bonus, you'll get playable demos, all the best shareware releases, complete commercial games, and all the patches the paper magazines can only tell you about, all for less than $5 a month. Call today, 1-800-56-CD-MAG.
We now return you to the show.
Okay. Yeah, I assumed Flying Nightmares was going to be about, like, dragons and not, like, planes. But what do I know?
This winter, Impressions will toss its hat into the turn-based wargame circle with Front Lines, a game that promises to combine traditional turn-by-turn play with impressive sound effects and animation. Front Lines won't be a historical game.
Okay.
It takes you to the battlefields of the near future, with ground-effect hover tanks fighting alongside more traditional tracked vehicles, and crunchy normal infantry would stand little chance against the power-suited troopers that will be featured here. Designer Chris Foster promises a simple interface.
That is beautiful art. What the hell?
Even basic rules like line of sight can be ignored for novice gamers, and advanced gamers will enjoy activating detailing options like morale and leader personalities. The basic combat interface will
I like the art. I like the paintings a lot.
But it'll be more than just numbered squares sliding along the hexes. Animated units with full sound will be one of the defining features of Front Lines. Tank treads will rumble and cannons will recoil. Impressions is determined to combine the animation and sound of a real-time action wargame with the emphasis on strategy provided by turns and hexes. Front Lines will support full editing. You'll be able to modify not only the unit deployment and terrain, but also the stats of the units and the effects of the terrain. Absolute power over both the game environment and the soldiers destined to go to battle in it. Even
Hooray, absolute power!
Can be altered to extend the game, or
this won't corrupt absolutely at all.
Customizing control promises to extend the replay value of Front Lines considerably.
Okay, what else is on the plate? Ooh, Iron Cross.
New World is breaking new ground this winter with the release of Iron Cross, a squad-level wargame that brings new levels of realism to the much-explored land battles of the latter years of World War II. Designer Phil Steinmeier will bring us what promises to be a stunning battle simulation, with every shell and explosion displayed for us in constant real-time animation. The scenarios in Iron Cross cover the latter part of the war in Northern Europe. The screens you see here are a few of the choices you'll have. As you can see, the focus is on pivotal conflicts. Experienced wargamers will be no stranger to these battlefields. But the way the battles are directed will knock
Wait, do
armchair
I gotta
generals
play
to
as the
the floor.
Nazis?
Your first move
I
after
don't want to
choosing
do
your
that. I'm not
scenario
gonna
will be
do
to purchase
that.
forces.
I'm not
Unlike
gonna
the
do
bulk of
that.
historical war games, which saddle you with the same starting forces every time, Iron Cross puts you completely in charge. You are allocated points to spend on any mix of infantry, armor, and artillery you want to try. The only limits are based on historical
this guy.
availability of the hardware
I'm like,
involved.
look at this cool map
And it
I
doesn't
made.
stop with the
Let's
purchase.
play
You can
Warhammer
also
on
deploy
it.
your own troops and hardware, placing them anywhere within a start zone defined by the scenario.
I'm
Features
sorry
like
that
this let
everyone
you
keeps
rewrite
telling
history.
you to clip
If you want to
things
turn a
for me,
historic
chat.
tank
You
battle
don't
into a
need
tanks versus
to.
infantry scuffle, give it a try. The resources are yours, and your decisions might prove better than the real thing. The instant your final unit has been deployed, the real action begins. The Iron Cross engine provides the closest thing to an overhead scene of a real battle that has yet been provided in a war game. A moment of silence is all that most scenarios will have before the opening shots from both sides ring out of your PC's speakers. Iron Cross plays in real time, so you'll be kept very busy. To get your troops and tanks into action, click on them and then on their destination. The computer will
Can I
automatically
play as
give
one
you
of
the most
those,
efficient
like,
path. After that,
French
the unit will move on
resistance
its own until
babes
you
who
give it
like
the
were
command.
like,
Units
hey,
act
come
on a
to the
sort of
forest with me,
programmed
le
attitude,
Nazis,
giving
and then they
priority
shot
to
them.
attacking the
I
enemy
want to do
or to
that.
moving
I want a
according to
strategy
your
game
order.
where you have
The
to like
overall
do
effect is
that.
a lot like watching a real battle scene from overhead, with a little more color and clarity for ease of play, of course. But the sounds and animation will treat you to a real sense of suspended disbelief while providing a serious strategic challenge. As the battle flows, it's your job to nudge your troops in the proper direction. The sounds and images for calling in airstrikes and artillery barrages are great payoffs. It's surprising how much explosive carnage can be packed into the animations on the game. And see that window in the southeast corner? It displays photo animations from actual war footage, adding an additional level of atmosphere to complement the realistic sound effects. What you see here are a few of the images used in the game. Some other nice features include the visibility and line of sight options on the menu. Clicking on either will give you an at-a-glance display on the screen. And as you can see, this game is not shackled by hexagonal walls.
Sure
Clicking
isn't.
on any feature shown on the screen will also give you complete information on it, complete with photograph. And when the fires of war die down, your victory or defeat will be displayed something like this. Continuing success will win you promotions. Failures will get you demoted. Kick the axis hard enough, and Uncle Sam rewards
This game
you.
exists.
And
It
when
was
the Iron
called Velvet
Cross finally hits
Assassin,
the
and
shelves,
it's not
you'll see
great.
it judged
Okay.
just as carefully right here.
Next up is Jagged Alliance. Jagged Little Alliance. Does anybody like that? No? Okay, sorry.
If you find that most of the strategy games on the market today are lacking in character, keep an eye out for Jagged Alliance from Surtech. It's got loads of character. In fact, it's got 60 of them. Mercenaries, that is. People who
Surtech,
might
huh?
want to join your team.
I'll say we I need shells. I'm taking heat here. Leave me alone. I'm busy. What? I've run out of lead. Taking fire.
And the key word in that sentence is might. But let's start at the beginning. The action all takes place on the South Atlantic island of Metavira, which was once used as a nuclear testing site. The intense radiation of those tests mutated a tree so that the sap, while toxic, could be used in a medicine to fight a degenerative children's disease. So Metavira became a scientific research center. This mutated tree is also seedless, so it can't be grown elsewhere. The research team is dedicated to finding the best way to refine the priceless sap while maintaining its potency. Unfortunately, the entire research team doesn't share the idealism of its leader, Jack Richards. The laboratory
This is just
and
the
most
plot
of the
to
rest
Medicine
of the
Man,
island
isn't
are
it?
seized by a greedy researcher, Lucas Santino.
Lucas Santino has turned this island into our own private piece
Chad,
of
do you remember the
hell.
movie Medicine Man?
He's determined to control the precious fluid with the help of his army of mercenaries.
Find out who he is. Then kill him.
Jack and his daughter Brenda decide to fight fire with fire and contact you mercenary you. You have connections to AIM. No, not the American Indian movement. And not the toothpaste. AIM is the Association of International Mercenaries. Yes, this is where all those great characters come in. You can choose a team of up to 8 mercenaries to reclaim Metavira, and you have 60 AIM members to choose from. By the way, we're not just talking about lists of statistics here. These are 60 well-developed characters with very distinct digital speech.
In this together, we move out together.
The voice acting in this game is one of its major bragging points. The characters will have very different
looks like he's got
attitudes,
snot
even toward
dripping
the
out of his
idea
nose.
working with you.
I was there. It was summer. The air was fresh and the landscape beautiful. And some impaired idiot had put you in charge.
You'll have no trouble hiring a relatively inexperienced person, but if you want an expert, you may have to wait until you've gotten some success under your belt. Don't worry about keeping a resume. they'll be watching you. This is not just a win-or-lose game. The structure is non-linear, and the team you choose, combined with how well you lead them, can make for a completely different story from game to game. While
Does
much
sound
of the
a little
game
bit like
takes place
Wario,
in
yeah.
real time, there are also phased elements. For example, one of your men has just encountered the enemy.
I got an enemy off guard. I want to bag the perp before I have to chase him.
If the game were strictly real-time, combat would start right away. But in this case, the screen freezes, this window opens up, and the character gets instructions from you. Then time starts up again, and you're treated to a little bloodshed. When a company refers to its game as an interactive movie, they don't usually have something like this in mind. But with cinematics like this one, the intriguing plot, and the well-defined characters, Jagged Alliance may come closer than anything else to being both highly interactive and filmic.
Without the micro-purifier, I won't be able to finance this operation for too much longer. We have to find it, and soon.
This tropical adventure should be available to heat things up this winter.
All right, next up, your favorite, my favorite, God's favorite, it's Lemmings 3.
For the past 3 years, the computer world has been overrun by a swarming tide of little pink creatures with green hair. No, this is not just a fit of the DTs. I'm talking about Lemmings. Psygnosis will soon release the third installment of the biggest-selling computer game series ever. The game is tentatively titled L3, World of Lemmings. The basic game hasn't really changed. You maneuver a large group of those hopelessly stupid beasties from point A to point B, killing as few of them as possible, unless you screw up, of course, in which case you get the pleasure of blowing them all sky high. Psygnosis has also been paying particular attention to the requests of its Lemmings enthusiasts. While Lemmings 2, The Tribes, was a very successful game, many people thought that the enormous number of different Lemming skills was a bit confusing. The new game will narrow this field down a bit, keeping only the best of the bunch. The second installment also featured some great animations of the Lemmings, adding much more detail to the creatures. Unfortunately, in the actual gameplay, they were the same tiny, low-res critters as before. L3
Bullshit.
will have much larger Lemmings,
Make them
allowing
big.
for some
I
very
want giant
silly character
Lemmings.
actions. L3 will be every bit as large as the epic-length Lemmings 2 with 120 levels of play. There will be lots more tools to use, more monsters to defeat, and more obstacles to conquer. Pretty much everything you could hope for in a blockbuster sequel, isn't it?
I guess so. Anyways, it's a master of magic.
By producing games like Civilization and Master of Orion, Microprose has built a solid reputation as a developer of great strategy games. Master of Magic, their upcoming release, also promises to be a heavy hitter. It seems to tread on some familiar ground, but it does so with all the style, class, and addictive elegance we've come to expect from Microprose. In Master of Magic, you play a wizard with a taste for world domination. You can choose from one of the preset characters or build your own. 6 magical disciplines are available for you to choose from, each with its own set of spells. Some disciplines focus on peaceful production spells, while others lend themselves to war. You'll start out with 1 hamlet and must produce units to explore the map, as well as build structures to enhance your city's abilities. Each turn you will produce gold to
I
pay
like
your
the little
armies,
creature.
food to feed your subjects, and mana to cast spells with. Mana will become very important later in the game, and foolish spellcasters will quickly learn to hoard it. New spells are obtained through research. What makes spell research different from the technology trees of Civilization and Master of Orion is that spell research does not have a tree-like structure. Instead, the spells you'll be able to use are governed by the disciplines you decide upon when you choose or create your wizard. The city's management screen will seem fairly familiar to anyone who's played Civilization. Here you set a city's production. Cities can produce military units, or they can build structures such as shrines,
Can I
barracks, and
produce
stables
horses?
to increase the city's abilities. A new addition is the inclusion of 2 special structures, housing and
I want to
trade
produce
goods.
horses.
These don't really build anything.
Not to
The housing
eat,
setting
just to
increases
have.
the city's growth rate, and the trade goods setting converts construction resources into gold. Apart from building armies yourself, the occasional hero will offer to join your ranks for a price.
I'm Gunther,
These
the
special
barbarian.
units come with
Hi,
a
what's
wide
up?
range of special and valuable assets. Some are powerful warriors, some are healers. Some have great magical power you can wield in battle. Some even attract other heroes to your side. Combat in Master of Magic is handled a little differently than in previous Microprose titles. Conflicts are resolved on a tactical map. From here, the player controls each unit individually, moving, attacking, casting spells, and fleeing if the odds get too long. This combat system is more strategically involving than the other MPS titles and is a welcomed addition. Everything I've seen indicates that Master of Magic will be another great success from Microprose. The game contributes a fantasy setting with the balance of war, diplomacy, exploration, research, and building.
I like these
that makes
gargoyles a
Civilization
lot.
and
They look like
Master of
little fat
Orion such
kitties.
huge hits. Fans of previous Microprose strategy games should find Master of Magic instantly appealing. And with the fantasy theme, it stands a good chance of snaring a whole new audience as well.
All right, next up, Microsoft Golf.
I find
I'm
it
awake.
rather ironic that one of the most popular groups of sports games on the market are the golf simulators. I mean, golf is definitely a skill game, but it's not an overly strenuous one. If you want golf, why not actually go out and play it? It's not like you're saving yourself from certain injury by clicking your mouse instead of swinging a club. Nevertheless, few simulations of any sort accurately represent the real thing
country
like golf
clubs,
sims
it's
do.
so
The newest
pricey.
and best example of the genre is Microsoft Golf 2.0 for Windows. The first version of Golf was produced in cooperation with Access Software, makers of the smash hits Lynx and Lynx 386 Pro. This allowed for an extremely neat feature. Lynx add-on courses were compatible with Golf. The new Golf retains the ability to use Lynx courses and improves on many other positive aspects of the first version. Golf runs under Windows in 640 by 480 by 256 and features scalable and movable windows within the game itself. This is much more useful than it may sound at first. The ability to move windows provides more flexibility as the screens can be customized to look exactly as you want it to. Add another view of the course or pop up the scoreboard for a second and then minimize it again. You can also customize the look and handicap of your golfer. Those of you who've spent hours fooling around with Windows color palettes have an idea of how much fun this is. Hey, we haven't even gotten to the game yet. Okay, now we get to the game. Golf 2.0 plays very much like its predecessors Lynx and Golf 1.0.
Add some slacks for your ass.
Is a two-mouse click process, which can be tricky at first. Luckily, Golf includes a bevy of lessons in the form of Windows help files. Like game windows, they can be popped up at any time in the game. In fact, if you take a really lousy shot,
Can't believe I did that.
a dialog box will pop up and ask if you need help. Real-life variables such as wind can be toggled on or off in Golf, and you can save the games, holes, or individual shots in highlight reel fashion. Every conceivable statistic is kept and also printable, so you can have hard proof in hand when you brag to your coworkers about how well you did. Given its addictive quality, though, perhaps the greatest feature of Golf is that it runs under Windows and can be minimized when the boss walks by.
I heard that.
Oops.
Oh, I don't want to piss off the boss. Actually, what if I want to piss off my boss? Boss, I'm playing Microsoft Golf on duty. You gotta deal with it.
Do you find your software library to be insufficiently silly and far too useful?
Oh, shut up!
Do you sit at the keyboard for hours on end without talking in a goofy voice?
Well, help is at hand.
And now for something completely different.
7th level will soon be assaulting your cyberspace with an interactive thingy called Monty Python's Complete Waste of Time.
I had this.
Oh, yes, those British loonies are back again.
God, I hate you! You make me want to puke my guts out!
With a gathering of skits, songs, and cartoons that would make a parrot blush. Especially if it wasn't dead.
Which it's not actually, it's just pining for the fjords.
And now, for the moment you've been waiting for.
While the complete waste of time will include lots of classic sketches from the BBC television series, such as The Cheese Shop and The Argument Clinic. You can get a fanboy to recite every word for you anyway, so why bother?
Thankfully, there will also be some new material and some outtakes from the original program. They're just completely shameless, aren't they?
Yes, it's perfectly awful!
Disgraceful. I don't know how they got the nerve to put it on.
So, what's this best of collection doing being previewed in a game mag? Well, smart knows it just happens that the complete waste also includes a few arcade-style games. Not normal ones, of course. The visuals were designed by Python's cartoonist and sole American member Terry Gilliam. So they're full of
That does look pretty cool.
hammer-wielding mad women
Just spent 4 hours burying the cat.
and exploding chickens. Boom! On top of all this, you can wander aimlessly through 6 big and twisted scenarios. The Exploratorium,
Please fondle my bum.
the Exploding TV Room, the Corridor,
Get on with it!
the Portrait Gallery,
What about those split-crotch panties?
the Stage,
Have you finished in there yet?
and the Brain.
Do you know, I
Still wet my bed.
There's even a contest to discover the secrets to intergalactic success.
Being illegal makes it more exciting.
You might say this product is spam-packed.
But if you did, I'd have to kill you.
Sorry.
The CD-ROM version will also include a free desktop Pythonizer,
We stopped doing the
allowing you to
voices.
severely warp your Windows layout with a demented collection of icons, sound files, and wallpaper. Don't worry, if the CD is too expensive, you can buy the Pythonizer on diskette.
You cheap, miserable bastard.
Right. Now for a complete change of mood.
All right, that was a very... what? You keep doing your voices, honey. It's fine. We love your voices.
Comic book superheroes, paranoid priests with guns, nearly naked vampire babes.
All right, you had me at vampire babes.
Welcome to Noctropolis from Electronic Arts, the weirdest little city of night you ever did see. Meet Peter Gray, a man with a problem. No one has come to visit his little bookshop for months, and he'll probably have to close up soon. On top of this, his favorite comic book, Darkshear, has been canceled. No more stories of the heroic Darkshear and his scantily dressed sidekick Stiletto fighting crime in Noctropolis. It's a portrait of despair. Suddenly, Peter learns he's won the comic book sweepstakes, and the grand prize is that he gets to be the new Darkshear. An ornately carved obelisk rises from the middle of the bookshop floor and whisks Peter to Noctropolis, his favorite fantasy location. And
This
Egg
is just
McMahon
Cool
is nowhere
World.
to be seen. Of course, being the new Darkshear
Yes,
is no
Mebble,
picnic,
this is Cool
especially
World.
since none of the characters believes him at first. Here he is face to face with Father Desmond, the comic book's kindly priest who has certainly had a very bad day. In fact, he's being held prisoner in his own cathedral by a sex-crazed succubus. Don't you wish you had these kind of problems? And then there's Darkshear's shapely sidekick Stiletto, who has turned to the bottle for comfort. How can Peter convince these jaded people that he's supposed to be the replacement for their retired hero and friend? It's not going to be easy.
This isn't
Peter has to
Isekai,
ultimately save the city of Noctropolis from the forces of evil. That shouldn't be much of a hassle for the new Darkshear, with all the powers of Liquidark and Shadeskin at his command. But the various supervillains he used to fight separately have all been organized by a mysterious new presence named Flux. You may be getting the idea that Noctropolis is not your normal adventure game. For starters, this game is definitely meant for mature audiences, and I don't just mean because of the nearly naked vampire babes. Mind you, that's a good reason too, but the story is as involved with the insecurities
This game
of
is
the
a
characters
fucking
as it
nightmare,
is with
huh?
the superhero-style good and evil. The graphics are drop-dead gorgeous. The cityscape was obviously designed by someone who watched the Batman movies way too many times. Check out the perspective on the traveling map. Is that funky or what? The interface is a cinch to use. Just right-click at any time, and this little tetrahedron pops up with everything you might want to do. Pick an action and click on a subject, and you're set. Mainly, Noctropolis is the first computer game to reflect the gritty, angst-filled world of comic companies like Vertigo or Dark Horse. With
Ooh,
lots
it's
of
like
direct video,
Vertigo.
great dialogue, and a moody musical score.
One of the worst
Noctropolis
adventure
will
games
set
I have
higher
ever
game
played,
standards
just
for
as
the
a
coming
creative
years.
failure. I'm curious now. I am so curious now, Obscuratory.
This winter, QQP, a game publisher known for challenging
Once
but
again,
user-friendly
it's
products of all
QQP.
sorts, is throwing its hat into the arena of hardcore military simulations with Pure Wargame, a hardest of the hardcore simulation. Pure Wargame promises never-before-seen levels of realism, information, and detail. Like the vast majority of hardcore wargames, Pure Wargame is a hex-based simulation recreating key conflicts of World War II. The specific focus is less traditional, though. All of the scenarios will focus on paratrooper landings and subsequent battles. Absolute realism and total historical accuracy are the foundation blocks that will support Pure Wargame. Every battalion and vehicle represents the actual units involved
It's on
in the
GOG,
historical
huh?
battle. Even in the game's relatively fine-line 6-hour game turn, the weather and lighting conditions are exhaustively researched and completely authentic. The scenarios will mostly be historical conflicts, but Hitler's imaginary invasion of England is also included. In the historical scenarios, the positions where troops are dropped are as historical as the lighting and weather, but you will have the option of re-landing them, with random drift based on the intended landing sites. Scenario scoring is point-based, and points are derived from hexes controlled and the seizing of important sites. In one scenario in Russia, for instance, the Kanev Bridge is worth 12,000 points, while the other bridges on the map are worth only 1,000 each. Cities also have value, determined by their relative importance to the forces involved. Hex control displays will be available in play.
Got a
to
lot
show
of
exactly
hexes
what you
going
captured.
on.
Pure Wargame will also feature tons of tables, organizing the extensive facts and details that the game will process in an easy-to-access form. Detailed battle reports, forecasts, and more will be available, all designed to make the strategic experience more thorough and gratifying. The program will keep track of movement, ammo, food, fatigue, and morale for troops. All will have dramatic effect on the outcome of battles and will change realistically.
Yeah, this
Units
is
who
this is
travel or
above
sit and
my
never get in a fight will lose
talents
morale.
or skills.
Units who are
This
force
game.
march will cover a lot of ground but gain lots of debilitating fatigue. There's no glitz and flash in pure wargame. No animations, no exploding buildings or muzzle flashes or burning forests. The displays are straightforward and as simple as the vast range of data permits. The graphics will be pleasing to the eye and clear. Where QQP is putting their creative energy is the game. Pure wargame might be unparalleled in combat detail. An inside tip though, while the graphics will focus on the functional, realistic sound will be used and a 10-part score will provide musical atmosphere. So, Pure Wargame will have a lot to offer those who've been seeking the ultimate simulation. Time and the game's eagerly awaited release will tell for sure, and you can be sure to find a complete review here on IE when that day comes. In the meantime, fold your chute properly and bite your nails in anticipation of Pure Wargame.
Pure Wargame! Alright, we got Return to Planetfall, baby!
Not so very long ago, the state of the art in computer adventures was not determined by the smoothness and realism of the graphics, because there weren't any. Text adventures ruled the cyberworld, and the king of text adventures was definitely Infocom. Well, that time has certainly passed, but even with great Rembrandt-quality graphics, nothing sells like a good story. So everything old is new again, and Activision has bought the rights to those great games. After doing a full-motion MPEG sequel to the Zork trilogy, they're now bringing us Return to Planetfall, Floyd Strikes Back. Yes, that lovable robot will return to what can loosely be described as life after you killed him dead as a doornail at the end of Stationfall, you insensitive scum. But you'll finally be able to see and hear him in this visually stunning sequel. While the rendered graphics are obviously of a very high quality, Return to Planetfall will also include a host of celebrity actors. Sorry gang, we can't tell you who just yet. The original Planetfall games were designed and written by Steve Moresky, but these days he's a bit too busy with projects like his recent Superhero League of Hoboken to write the new version. So, while Moresky is still the designer, the writing chores have been assigned to Hans Beimler and Richard Manning, the head writers of Star Trek The Next Generation, who suddenly have a bit of time on their hands. The player is still a lowly Ensign 7th class on a yuppie-infested interstellar cruise ship. But between mopping the floor and clearing glasses at the piano bar, you uncover an ancient robot religion, a secret scientific technology that could transform the universe, and an insidious plot to reduce all human life to a zombie-like existence, much like your current job. The story will adhere strongly to the tradition established in the previous games, a combination of epic adventure and a strong comedy element. The comedy is occasionally on the surreal side. What is the deal with the fish? You can expect the latest installment in the Planetfall series to combine the charm of the classic Infocom adventures with cutting-edge graphics and all the savvy of Hollywood. Return to Planetfall, Floyd Strikes Back is bound to win over old and new computer users when it's released in summer of 1995.
Last but not least, with the previews, we've got Star Trail.
Surtech knows how to make a good RPG.
Bro is stoned out of his gourd. Look at his eyes.
A long time ago, and the first installment in the Realms of Arcania series, entitled Blade of Destiny, introduced a new engine and outstanding storyline to computer RPGs, and made converts of several die-hard SSI fans. In a few months, players will be able to re-enter the realms to embark on an entirely new adventure. Star Trail looks to be a contender for Best RPG of the coming year, taking the best elements of Blade of Destiny and upgrading the navigation, auto-mapping, conversation, and combat systems to produce a game with an unmatched level of detail. How detailed? Well, try these figures on for size. 350 different types of items, including weapons, armor, and magical items. Fully 50 animated monsters. 50 improvable character skills, and 12 different character races. There's almost too much room for individuality among your characters. Each member of your party also has specific personality quirks, both positive and negative, that affect the game as you play.
I need negative
As in any
perks.
RPG, roaming around for a while will eventually result in an encounter of some sort. Often talking will prove more fruitful than fighting. The new dialogue system in Star Trail uses a keyword system that proves to be much more efficient than the typical conversation tree method. Any new topics that a character learns about are automatically added to his list of keywords so that he can inquire about them further. And of course, the reverse is also true. Sometimes fighting is the best way to get things done in an RPG, and the phase time 3D combat system in Star Trail is second to none. Characters move realistically, and everything that can move does. Fighting sequences are fully animated. For those of you who've never played a first-person perspective game, I suggest you unstick yourself from your chair.
Okay, get out of your chair, everybody.
And actually pump some adrenaline through your frail body before you try playing anything more complex. For those of you who've already done this, the first-person 3D engine utilized in outdoor and dungeon scenes in Star Trail will immediately feel familiar. Arcania is a big world. While Doom-like movement is the norm inside a town or dungeon, movement over larger areas is accomplished via a map metaphor in Star Trail's revamped travel system. If you get lost, the automap will prove to be your best friend. It shows surprising amounts of detail and can be edited. Star Trail will offer 2 levels of difficulty that can be switched at any time. This lets inexperienced players play an easier game for a while and then switch to a tougher mode once they get the hang of gameplay. Hey, Star Trail may be the first RPG to satisfy all comers. It can be as difficult as you want it to, and is big and, beautiful to boot.
Okay.
Look for it, and then buy it so that you can look at it.
I gotta buy it, honey. Honey, why am I calling the chat honey? Maybe I'm calling the man honey. I'm calling someone honey. All right, how many reviews we got here? Oh, it's not a lot at all. Okay. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give us a little break here. And let me just, I gotta get it to a quiet screen.
Interactive Entertainment is the world's #1 selling CD mag. And now you can have IE delivered to your door every month and save up to $60 off.
It doesn't have a screen without audio, I don't
give
think.
You a guided tour of the most current releases, letting you know which games are must-haves and which ones deserve a leash. As a bonus, you'll get playable
I do
demos,
like the dog
all
barking.
The best shareware releases, complete commercial games, and all the patches the paper magazines can only tell you about.
Only
All for
dream
less than
about.
$5 a month. Call today, 1-800-56-CD-MAG.
Okay. Is the table of contents audio free? Yeah, here we go. We'll just stick here for a while because, folks, it's time for intermission. I got a good one for you this time. I know I always say that, but what I've got for you, this just got archived on archive.org. So this is a real, literally, I think it was archived on December 15th, so it's been out for 2 days. I think I was the first person to put a view on it. Did you know that the folks at Little Golden Books released a book and audio cassette featuring The Legend of Zelda? Did you know that? I didn't know that, but I found out. So I'm going to be playing the entirety of, let's see what this is. This is going to be The Legend of Zelda, Molblin's Magic Spear. You knew about this. Okay. Yeah, Archive's back. This just got archived a few days ago. That's how I found out, because I was on Archive. They spell it Molblin's. I'm not kidding you. The cassette itself has it spelled Molblin. I'm not joking. It's really funny. So yeah, do check that out, and I'll be back in about 9 minutes.
Tape called The Legend of Zelda, Molblin's Magic Spear. It was written by Jack C. Harris, and the pictures were done by Art and Kim Ellis. Whenever you hear this sound, you'll know that it's time to turn the page. Once upon a time, the world was a place of magic and monsters. The land of Hyrule was ruled by Princess Zelda, who used the magic of her Triforce triangles to help her people. One terrible day, the evil Ganon attacked the land of Hyrule and tried to force Zelda to give him the Triforce. But Zelda fooled him and gave the Triforce triangles to her trusted nursemaid Impa, who escaped with them. After being trapped by Ganon's henchmen, Impa was saved by the brave little warrior, Link. She told him the legend of Zelda and the Triforce, and asked him to rescue the princess, who had been imprisoned on Death Mountain by Ganon. Since he was brave and true, Link promised to save Zelda. This is one of Link's amazing adventures as he traveled across the land of Hyrule on his way to save Princess Zelda. For a long, long time, Link journeyed through Hyrule. He battled many strange monsters and bought many magic objects to help him in his quest. As he crossed a small lake on a tiny wooden raft, Link counted the objects he carried.
I have my sword, a bag of rubies,
He thought,
and one small bottle of fresh water. I think I'll need more magic in order to rescue the princess.
Link tied up his raft and was ready to hike through the thick, dark, and dangerous woods. All of a sudden, he had an odd sensation.
It feels like someone is watching me,
he thought. Very quietly, Link crept around the rocks. There, still staring at the spot where Link had been, was a strange creature who looked like a little old man. Link tiptoed closer without making a sound. But just as Link was about to confront the spying little man, the ground opened up beneath him.
Yow!
Cried Link. He dropped into the earth as he heard the little creature laugh out loud. Luckily for Link, he didn't fall far. He found himself in a strange cave filled with everything from junk to treasure. The odd creature came down a secret staircase. He greeted Link by saying,
"Welcome to my store, customer."
At first, Link was very angry at having been tricked by the funny little man. But the creature soon explained why he had done it.
"I am a humble merchant,
He said,
and my trap is the only way I can get customers into my out-of-the-way shop."
Link thought the little man was funny and began to look around the strange shop. He soon selected a round black bomb and a beautiful shield to buy with his rubies.
"Your shield is magic.
Explained the merchant after exchanging it for Link's rubies.
I will tell you its secret for a drink of your fresh water. You see, my lake is polluted."
Although it was the last of his water, Link felt sorry for the little merchant and let him drink. Then the merchant said,
"For this swallow of water, I'll tell you this. Your shield will swallow a hit to a miss."
Link said goodbye to the strange merchant, trying to figure out the meaning of his weird rhyme. Many days later, Link was entering a small stony canyon when suddenly a huge creature jumped out from behind a rock.
"Stop!"
roared the creature.
"No one can walk through Moblin's land."
Moblin?
Thought Link as the creature's spear hit solid rock just above Link's head.
I've heard of him. He's one of Ganon's followers.
Far, far away in terrible Death Mountain, Ganon himself was watching Link through his crystal ball.
"So,
He growled.
that nuisance Link is still coming closer.
No matter.
Moblin will destroy him with his magic spear."
The captive Zelda watched too, afraid for the brave warrior Link.
It's amazing.
Link thought as he dodged Moblin's spear.
The spear vanishes, and another spear appears magically in his hand every time he throws one. He'll never run out.
Just then, as another spear appeared in Moblin's hand, the creature walked right into a tree.
Oh!
Aha!
Thought Link.
That must be why Ganon gave Moblin a magic spear. The creature has poor eyesight. He'd never be able to find a normal spear once he threw it. That gives me an idea.
Hiding behind some rocks, Link worked quickly.
If I can make a dummy from these leaves, sticks, and my bomb, maybe I can fool Moblin into grabbing it instead of me.
Nearby, Link could hear Moblin getting closer.
"I'll get you and swallow you up,"
he snarled. Hearing Moblin talk about swallowing him up made Link remember the merchant's funny rhyme. Suddenly, he realized its secret meaning. His new shield was magic, and Moblin had been missing him on purpose. Jumping up onto a big rock, Link let the next spear hit his shield. There was a blinding flash of light and a crack of thunder.
I was right!
Link said, laughing as he jumped down off the rock and ran past his dummy.
My magic shield swallowed Moblin's spear. A new spear did not appear in his hand. He'll have to find me on his own now.
Running as fast as he could, Link hid behind some rocks. Moblin chased after him, roaring angrily. As soon as Moblin's weak eyes spied Link's dummy, he thought he'd captured the brave little warrior.
Now I have you.
He roared as he grabbed the dummy's head.
But wait! This is no head! This is a bomb!
He cried. Kaboom! There was a terrific explosion, and Moblin was blown sky high. Since the big creature no longer blocked his path, Link raced safely through the canyon. It would be 3 days before Moblin found his way back. By then, Link would be far, far away. Sometime later, all of Death Mountain shook with Ganon's angry roar.
Oh, can a little creep like Link keep coming? It's most annoying. But no matter. There are many more dangers in front of him. Someone or something will destroy Link long before he reaches the underground labyrinths.
Zelda had seen Link's bravery and cunning. She knew that someday soon, Link would come to her rescue. The future of her land depended on it. This is the
I'm back. So yeah, I was all about the cool spear. Did you like that? Did you like hearing about the cool spear? Cool story, yeah. I thought that was a good one. I thought that was good. Also, thank you to Mako Tensai VT for the raid. Appreciate that. And yeah, pasta. All right, folks, we're going back to the entertainment mines, the interactive entertainment mines, and we're going to the reviews.
Bingo! Pasta with all sorts of different sauces.
And next, it's Battle Bugs.
Dynamics is known for making quality games. From Red Baron to The Incredible Machine, almost every title from the Sierra Subsidiary is a good one. Their latest title, a humorous tactical game called Battle Bugs, is no exception.
Battle Bugs is based on the idea of rival ant colonies warring over food. But in order to give the game a little variety, Dynamics has decided to include all sorts of bugs, from praying mantises to fleas. Each bug has some unique quality that will be useful on the battlefield.
The game is set up as a campaign. Finish one mission and you're off to the next, with the first couple being extremely simple training missions. If I have one gripe with the game, it's that the difficulty of the missions doesn't seem to progress in a logical manner. Though the first two missions were extremely
Thank you, Cambertian,
easy,
for the
third
100
mission was one
bits.
of the
It's The
hardest
Legend of
ones that I
Zelda,
played.
and it's
I'd have
really
to
rad.
agree.
The audio
First
cassette
mission
was
so
pretty
easy, I really
bad.
didn't know what to
Yeah,
do.
it's fair.
Just order your ants over to the enemy. But the second mission was quite a good jump ahead in difficulty. The third mission was nearly impossible. But the fourth mission was a cakewalk.
You're battling
Luckily,
bugs in real
after about
life,
the third or
yeah.
fourth try, the game lets you move on to the next mission. Though it's cheating, you don't really feel bad about doing it.
Each mission has a certain set of bugs to go with it. As the missions progress,
So this is
the
like
number of bugs in
Cement,
your
but
arsenal
sick,
get
huh?
bigger and bigger. To give Battle Bugs a little extra twist, Dynamics gave some of the bugs the ability to throw things. Mostly ants, pill bugs, and bees. Each one can have an assortment of projectiles such as bombs, rocks, missiles, and stink bombs.
The addition of the ranged attacks is a great idea. It adds one more level of tactical complexity to the game, especially since a bug can actually throw further if he's higher up in the air, making it important to get the high ground in most situations.
As you can see, the graphics are sharp and can be toggled from 640 by 480 to 800 by 600.
That's
something
huge.
more and more games will have as we get more powerful computers. The sounds are simple
I like
and
that
the
it's
music
by
is
Phony.
cute. Fortunately, both the music and the
Lame
sound
toy.
effects can be switched off right on the playing screen. Yes, cute can get annoying after the first few minutes.
The graphics are very nice, especially when you consider that the palette only
it's
uses
called
16
Crapio
colors.
instead of
The sound
Casio. Do
effects
you
are
like
nice,
that?
But I could do without the music. One thing that Dynamics left out is a choice to change game speeds. Some of those bugs walk pretty slow.
Overall, I enjoyed playing BattleBugs quite a bit. Everything seemed to fall together well. The great diversity in insects and the incredible number of missions. Dynamics has created a unique
Crop
and
duster
enjoyable gaming
video.
experience.
If I had to pick out one small flaw, it would be that some of the missions are not up to par, relying on guesswork more than tactics. But overall, I have to agree, BattleBugs is a great game, almost complete in every way.
And now for a word from our sponsors.
Interactive Entertainment is the world's #1 selling CD mag. And now you can have IE delivered to your door every month and save up to $60 off the newsstand price. Our reviewers give you a guided tour of the most current releases, letting you know which games are must-haves and which ones deserve a leash. As a bonus, you'll get playable demos, all the best shareware releases, complete commercial games, and all the patches the paper magazines can only tell you about, all for less than $5 a month. Call today, 1-800-56-CD-MAG.
We now return you to the show.
Next up, Battle of Britain. Oh wait, crap! I forgot to do the thing. Hold on. How do I get out of here?
Greatest air battle in the history of.
It won't let you leave. No. Well.
Conflict. Deadly Games presents the Battle of Britain, a brilliant electronic substitute for chemical tranquilizer. It takes a special kind of design skill to reduce such a dramatic military event to this type of yawn fest. See this map? That's 90% of the game right there. German planes appear and you react. If you react properly and get lucky, the Germans won't kill too many Brits. The game is entirely reactive. The strategic element is little more than an unsatisfying wait and shoot. Most
Escape doesn't do it, but I appreciate the
bored,
suggestion.
but nearly insulted. The interface is simple enough, not a great feat with so few choices available. You toggle back and forth between the map and this tote board. A bonus for history buffs is that both screens are reproductions of the actual displays used by the RAF in the war. At the end of each day, the London Daily Mail appears to spread hype and panic among the Londoners. You can get a more realistic report from one of the game menus. You might end up seeing up to 30 of these screens before the whole thing is over, but if you do, you've a lot more stamina than I.
All right, so let's check out the pros and cons of BattleBugs here. So the pros of BattleBugs
is displayed in a standard 640 by 480 with the option to go up to 800 by 600. The graphics are pretty and the sound effects are well done. BattleBugs is also a lot of fun and an all-around good game.
The cons.
No matter how good a game is, it's bound to have some sort of flaw. And I would have to say that the only big one in this game is that it's not as good a tactical game as it should be. You should have to go search out your enemy instead of having such a small playing field.
No, you usually let me go backwards. Why?
Dynamics has brought us...
No. Let me go back.
Great games like Red Baron and the incredible...
I'm trying all the buttons.
BattleBugs is one that I think most of us will add to that list.
So it won't let you flip through the pages anymore either. So I'm going to have to miss out on the pros and the cons because this is... I'm pressing all the buttons, seeing if anything gets me out of these screens. No. Why? Why would you do this? Not backspace, not... And then you just get stuck on this screen. Okay, I'm stuck. I can't go forward or backwards or anything. Oh boy, I'm going to have to do a quick restart on this. We're going to have to skip the pros and cons for this issue because it won't let you go back from the pros and cons. And then if you do like a pros and cons, it just freezes the review screen. And then you're stuck on the review screen. I have an angry letter to write these people. I literally can't get out. I'm trying everything. Please, God, I scream at it. Yeah. I will write a very angry letter. All right, so folks, we do have to skip the pros and cons for this one because if you get into the pros and cons, it traps you. It betraps you.
Welcome to episode 6 of
Yeah, we know. So we're just gonna have to burn through these. Well, next up is Load Runner.
Sierra!
When people update classic old games for new systems, the result is usually a good-looking bomb. Not so is Sierra's new
good-looking
version
bomb.
of Load Runner. It looks great and sounds great, but the best thing is that it's extremely faithful to the old Apple game I love so much.
The original release of Load Runner is a little before my time, but I'm glad I finally gotten to play this game I've heard so much about. I'm not usually much for puzzle games, but I love this one. Once you start playing, you don't even think about stopping, and that's the mark of a truly great game. Load Runner's premise is very simple. You're this bounty hunter, and it's your job to capture all the gold these mad monks have stolen. You've got to run through each level, collect all the gold, and make it to the exit without getting caught by the mad monks.
It sounds like a simple arcade game, but it's not. The levels are designed for strategy, not action. Much of the gold is hidden in areas that seem unreachable at first, and each level is a puzzle, and it'll take a lot more than fast joystick wiggling to survive.
Some of the gold is hidden beneath the terrain. To get to it, you'll have to use your handy blaster to chisel away at the surrounding terrain.
Thank you, Sheriff Ram, for the prime
Same
side.
as the old shovel. just with
Appreciate it.
better
Thank you so
animation.
much.
Another common use for it is entrapping mad monks. The monks are determined, but not very smart. Blasting a hole between you and them will cause them to fall in and get stuck for a few seconds. You can then walk right over their heads to safety. Controlling the mad monks is often the key to solving a level. This puzzle, for example, is mostly made up of bedrock, which can't be blasted through. To avoid the monks, you'll have to climb up one of those short ladders, wait for them to follow you, and then jump off and run.
You won't mistake this with a Mario Brothers game, that's for sure. After you play for a while,
This
you'll get the
ain't no
hang of how
Mario
the monks
Brothers.
move and how to manipulate them. Some levels even require you to trap the monks in certain areas before you're able to escape.
In the original version of Load Runner, your shovel was the only tool at your disposal. To this rendition, Sierra has added new toys like bombs, foot snares, buckets of glue, jackhammers, pickaxes, teleporters, and gas canisters. I really didn't think I'd like this at first, but Sierra did such a wonderful job implementing them into the puzzles that they felt like a very natural part of the game.
I know what you mean. When I first got bombs, I thought they would make the game easier, but no. If a tool appears in a level, you can be sure that you have to use it correctly and at the proper time to make it worthwhile. One of the cosmetic touches Sierra has used to update this game is the inclusion of animated cutscenes. These appear when you pass from one group of levels to the next. Each group has its own look and its own tool, and these scenes show you how to use your new toy.
And they're hilarious. As if this game wasn't addictive enough, the cutscenes that pop up every
Oh
15
man,
levels
Sheriff
or so are
Ram, thank
great
you so
reward
much for gifting
perseverance. Plus, there's some of the
5
best
subs to the
animation
community.
I've ever seen for
Welcome to the
Windows.
Sub Club Online VCR,
Load Runner has
Bill
a total
Bull,
of
Lady
150
Nocturne,
new
Smoke
levels to
Tide
play through.
Pod.
Some of these levels,
I don't
like
think
the
you should
ones
smoke
at the
a Tide
beginning of a
Pod.
set,
And Mako
are
Tensai, thank
extremely
you.
easy. But there's enough really diabolical puzzles to keep even ancient Load Runner masters
Thank you so
going at
much.
it
I
for a
really
long,
appreciate
long
that.
time.
Thank you, thank
One
you.
feature that I'm extremely thankful for is the option to start from any level you want. Some people can sit around for an entire day or two and try to puzzle out one level, but I'm not one of them. Being able to start from anywhere should keep Load Runner from getting too frustrating, even for impatient types like me. Another thing I like about this package is that it comes with a level editor, so you can make up your own puzzles. The editor works very much the same as a paint program and is very easy to use.
For old Load Runner freaks like me, this is the ultimate
You
test
Load
of the
Runner
new
freaks.
version, and I'm impressed. The level editor is great, very easy to use, and very powerful. The original Load Runner spawned a cult of level-creating maniacs. It's great to see that Sierra hasn't forgotten what made the original
am also a
game
level-creating
so popular.
maniac.
It's great to see a favorite old game get ported to new machines with style and class, and Sierra has done just that. This is a fantastic update of a game that has outlived the system it was originally written for. I don't think it could have been done any better.
Although I've never played Load Runner before now, I'm hooked. Whether you have previous experience or not, Load Runner will delight anyone who enjoys puzzle games, and even some of us who don't. I started playing this game thinking I'd hate it. Then it was 4 o'clock in the morning and I had to change my mind. You got me. It's terrific.
Sure, pretty good, but what about Lords of the Realm?
Playing Lords of the Realm, Impression's new game of feudal management and conquest, took me back to the earliest days of computer gaming, when a good time could be defined as a numbers game where you could become king by buying and selling sacks of grain.
Ah yes, the grand old days. But Impressions has taken that shopworm premise and given it a new lease on life. Lords of the Realm is a game of conquest with a lot more
hey,
than
we hit
brain
our
saving.
sub goal. Thank you
It's
so
England
much,
in the
everybody.
13th
I just saw that.
and the highest seat in
Yay.
the kingdom is
Oh
empty.
man, that
Smaller
rocks.
nobles
Thank
rule their
you.
lands
Thank you,
as
thank
they
you, thank
please,
you.
And England suffers without the unifying power of a ruling monarch. You're one of those nobles, and starting with a single poor county and a few peasants to keep it running, you have to beat out the competition and bring England under your rule.
It starts simply enough. You pick a name and a crest. Note the distinct colors. The computer,
or any friends you might have handy,
controls the other 5 colors in the game. The starting positions are chosen randomly, and keep in mind that the computer plays each opponent in very different ways. At the start of a game, you don't have to worry about the other lords getting in your hair much, but it becomes more important as the game progresses. At first, though, you're just alone in your little corner of England trying to increase your population and keep them happy and fed.
In addition to the map, you'll have a lot of displays to give you the info you need to keep the county running. You determine just about everything from your peasants' work habits to their eating habits.
If you play your cards right, you can even create a society of people who eat nothing but dairy products. Not every game can promise an experience like
they're
that.
gonna all
Maybe
get
you can.
diarrhea.
My neighbors always seem to have more cows than me. It's depressing. But the screens were both functional and attractive, and gave you both the good news
and the bad news, right?
The game took a while to get into. It's a good thing the designers thought to include a walkthrough tutorial for the first few turns.
I agree. Once you get the hang of all the details that you have to manage, the game is fun from the start and only gets more interesting as you begin to expand into mining and industry to work on your armies.
And eventually castles. But in the meantime, there's grain to be planted and sown, cows to be herded, and shepherds abiding their flocks by night. All of it managed with an interface that was impressively friendly, considering the amount of information being doled out. The turn of the seasons and the changing needs of your people are attractively and simply displayed.
But you aren't alone in England, and almost immediately you'll start getting hate mail from your more aggressive
Hate
opponents.
mail?
While you're in adjusting your tax rate, don't forget that you can dispatch 1 messenger per turn, and flattery will get you everywhere if you keep it up. A hostile neighbor can be turned into an ally with a combination of friendly correspondence and a mutual enemy or two.
Never be ashamed to kiss a few boots. I never am.
Oh yes, and you're
Yeah,
the role
kiss
model
boots.
that I'd pick for everyone to follow. There's no one true path to victory in Lords of the Realm. In fact, each of the counties requires a slightly different approach. If you're very isolated, the merchants won't visit you very often, and cash crops like wool become less dependable. And when the merchant does come to town, stock up on whatever you need.
You can buy anything, from practical things like stone to build castles or metal to make weapons, to impractical things like casks of ale. They won't do anything to make your population grow or your walls stand stronger against an enemy, but they will make your population happier, which will improve overall performance.
Booze conquers all. I like a game like that. Beer and dairy products. Truly a unique strategy game.
This guy shows up on a regular basis to tell you if you're doing okay. Displays like this one, both atmospheric and full of useful at-a-glance info, are one of the defining features of Lords of the Realm.
Once you've got a good stock of population and some cash to spread around, it's time to start building armies and sending them out to bring neighboring counties under your banner. This presents some interesting strategic challenges at times. Many of the neutral counties will be fielding large conscript armies to defend themselves. So in a situation like this, where you and your neighbor want the same county, it's often best to let him go for it
Yeah,
first
we need to
and
invest
move in
in
after
beer.
the battle is over. No matter who wins, they'll be weakened. This is no guarantee of long-term success, of course, and sometimes you'll still find your new castles burning, but the flush of victory is always waiting, and Lords of the Realm provides a nice graphic payoff for achieving anything good.
Even messing up will get you a sound effect and some animation, which is nice for folks like me who aren't so caught up in winning all the time.
Yeah,
but
same.
those who win get money and resources to build castles, one of the best parts of the game. You build everything from scratch here in the Castle Builder, where you choose any configuration you want of walls, towers, keeps, water, and so on.
The program tallies up the tons of wood and stone necessary to build whatever monstrosity you devise, so be careful not to get too extravagant until you're stinking rich. I once designed a super fortress that wasn't even half completed by the time the game had ended.
There are even a few authentic castle designs loaded in for the architecturally challenged, and once you've chosen or created your castle, you can view it from any angle.
No hype, folks. This is a good game, and I know I'll be coming back to it for quite some time, but that's at the cost of some real pain. Lords of the Realm has one glaring, utterly terrible problem.
The soldiers are slow. The soldiers are very, very, very slow.
Gosh darn slow.
Excessively slow.
I know slow, and this is it, folks.
That's true. You do know slow. And after playing Lords of the Realm, so will anybody. If you see these screens, run for the hills and spend a year. The battle will still be going.
Fortunately, you're given the option of skipping the play-by-play real-time battle scenes. By all means, do so. But nothing that you can do will stop the armies themselves from marching at the speed of cold molasses across the main map of England. And whereas running a battle is like directing slugs across a parking lot, waiting 10 minutes for the armies to move around between turns is somewhere between watching grass grow and waiting for a Star Wars sequel.
It's especially ironic that actually watching grass grow is part of the game and is much faster and more fun than watching soldiers march. Go figure. If you can get past the slow turnaround time, and it is worth it, you've got a fine strategy game with a lot of elements and fun toys to play with.
Yep, if drowning Middlesex in a
Fun
bath of wine
toys.
is your idea of a good time, Lords of the Realm will give you the practice you need. And while it's a long way from Middlesex to the high throne, you'll enjoy every step of the way.
All right, next up, Lunicus.
Welcome to our home world, human.
Cyberflix, the interactive movie company.
Code red situation.
Do you think the SSI Gold Box engine would have made a hell of a good action platform? Do you think Doom is a good game that gets bogged down with 3D movement, dodging, or other annoying features? If you can honestly answer yes to either of these questions, Lunicus is a game you should look into. Otherwise...
Oi!
The premise of Lunicus, while not exactly revolutionary, is the best part of the package.
The alien nodes have been emitting some kind of hypnotic field.
In the near future, a group of archaeologists discover alien artifacts in a dinosaur fossil site. The artifacts lead scientists in bold new directions, and the Earth enjoys a period of great prosperity. But when one of the artifacts is repaired and reactivated, it sends a signal across the galaxy. Soon after, an alien warship parks itself over the Earth and sends down nodes that emit hypnotic fields over major cities. The aliens are keeping everyone alive, but for how long? Only the moon-based Lunicus has gone undetected. As a Lunicus pilot, it's your job to stop the aliens and destroy the hypno-nodes. In between missions, you'll wander around the base and talk to people. The voice acting is well above par.
Security breach of the complex.
But it's only present between missions. Only after you leave the moon base does the game really begin. Once in a mission, Lunicus deteriorates into a silly mixture of an AD&D Gold Box title and a Doom clone. Whether on foot, in a tank, or whatever, you wander around blasting evil alien ships. What really kills the game is that your movement is entirely step-based, like you're walking from tile to tile. Dodging, walking backwards, and other actions Doom fans take for granted just aren't possible to perform. The cinematics are decent, but they aren't nearly enough to save this game. Do yourself a favor. Read a book instead.
Read a book? I thought you said forget reading. Okay, I see. Millennium Auction? What the fuck is
Never
this?
let it be said that Eidolon Incorporated are copycats. Their first major venture into the Windows game scene is called Millennium Auction. It's the only game of its type anywhere. Have you ever wanted to pretend you had $8 million to spend on rare artwork? No? Well, neither have I. But Millennium Auction was pretty fun anyway.
You have selected Randall Prescott Smith.
This game lets you play as one of 7 different multi-millionaires, each of whom has the same objective, end the game with more money than you start with. You do this by participating in the Millennium Auction, a futuristic shopping spree that features such comical items as
Bill Clinton, saxophone, and Axel Grease tattoo, 1997.
12 items are up for grabs in each game, parceled into 3 bidding rounds of 4 items apiece.
The gallery awaits you until the start of the next round of bidding.
Between rounds, you can visit the art gallery or the janitor's room, where reading and listening to various sources can provide valuable clues as to what items will increase or decrease in price.
Ah, yes, Mr. Smith. I was just going to peruse my holdings on the ticker tape.
You can also jack into a cybernet called the InfoLink, where you can examine your competitors and sell items in your portfolio. Generally, you'll make the most profit when you make group sales, which involve selling a bundle of items instead of just one.
3-time U.S. presidential candidate Ross Perot charged today that the instrument being sold as Bill Clinton's saxophone is a fake. What's more, said Perot, Clinton never knew how to play the saxophone.
Different pieces of news can cause severe fluctuation in value of items, so timing incentive sales is key.
The bidding for this item will begin at $1 million UN.
The bidding room lets you show off what you've learned. Choosing what to bid on and how
This
much
seems
to bid
interesting.
is the key to winning. Because your competitors know the same things that you do, they'll be aware of value changes and will often try to
Cool.
buy
They're
the
selling
same
something
items
called
you will.
Suicig,
This,
so it looks
of
like
course, means that
suicidal
you'll have to pay
cigarettes.
a premium to win the bidding.
Cool.
Attention, please. There has been a transaction on the ArtNet by a fellow bidder.
The best thing you can hope for is that your opponents will buy things that you're uninterested in and will run out of money.
It has been our pleasure to have you in attendance.
I like the way
Because
this
every
guy
game
looks.
is the same length and there are a limited number of items in the game's library, Millennium Auction is not a game I would play over and over. It's quite enjoyable the first time, however, and even the second and third games prove to be kind of fun. If you attend auctions regularly, you'll probably really dig this title, as it seems to accurately reproduce a high-stakes auction.
Pick up a 6-pack of Bud Clear today, the non-alcoholic, low-calorie, dry beer, without that annoying beer taste and color. Goes down as smooth as water.
Oh yeah, having a sense of humor helps too.
All right, next up, Operation Crusader. Oh.
In the winter of 1941,
I mean, it is true that all cigarettes are suicide
North
cigarettes.
Africa to break the famed Africa Corps of Erwin Rommel.
This was Operation Crusader, the subject of the latest PC wargame from Avalon Hill. Beyond Rommel's forces stood Tobruk and the Allied forces awaiting relief. The city is the ultimate goal of both sides in the game, and the scenarios provided focus on several key conflicts from November to December of 41.
The game covers all of a month of historical time, but mastering the scenarios will take a lot longer than that. If only Rommel had that luxury. This is an intensely thorough war game, and very traditional in both scope and structure.
As might be expected from Avalon Hill, the computer display is essentially an electronic game board, with computer graphics replacing easy-to-lose cardboard counters. Even the game docks are difficult to distinguish from one of Avalon Hill's wargame rulebooks.
That's true. I kept thinking that I was paging through a miniature version of my advanced squad leader book.
Operation Crusader doesn't break a lot of new ground, but it combines a lot of state-of-the-art features into one nice package. The variety of units, terrain, and weather are up to par. The graphics are slick and clear.
That's all true enough, but where Operation Crusader stands out is in level of detail. Supply lines and tonnage are considered, and in the desert, running low on water can be just as bad as running low on ammunition. The details don't just extend to logistical concerns. Designer Eric Young has taken full advantage of the electronic medium to include such features as a realistic fog of war simulator that limits information not only on the enemy, but on your own troops, depending on fatigue and supply levels.
I like the many nifty ways that the game allows me to fiddle with history, like making the Italians seasoned veterans, which they most certainly were not.
Filling the hollow legions, eh?
Let's try to keep the squad leader plugs down to once per review, shall we?
Again, taking advantage of the electronic medium, Operation Crusader gives you a lot of attack options that wouldn't be easy to manage with die-cut counters. Units may make anything from a low-intensity attack designed to garner information about the enemy to an all-out mindless assault with intent to advance. There are even 3 types each of movement and defense. This is a good step from the paper games to the PC.
That isn't to say that Operation Crusader is anything but a hardcore wargame. The computer has been used to good effect in making the game more thorough and interesting from a tactical standpoint, but it hasn't been used at all to make it more accessible to newcomers. The elitist case format is used in the docks to frighten away any but the hardest and hardcore grognards, making the intended audience very
They've been saying grognards a lot this issue.
To be a bit friendlier, too.
A few features that do ease some pain include your ability to selectively give your duties to the computer. If you want to delegate a little authority, say by giving up control over airstrikes or artillery or supply, simply toggle a line on the pull-down menus.
Control freaks will prefer to keep their mitts in everything, but if you just want to relax, you can even let the computer fight a few whole turns for you to get past the opening stages of battle. Finally, one of the strongest selling points of Operation Crusader might be that it supports play-by-email battles, a dream come true for many
Play-by-email? Oh, hell yeah.
This looks to be my favorite feature, since the game's juicy collection of details almost seem wasted without a live opponent.
Hey, don't I count?
No, you don't. Fortunately, Operation Crusader's AI is pretty challenging.
For hardcore wargamers, especially those with email access, Operation Crusader is a recommended buy.
For those with an interest but no experience in wargames, stay away at all costs. This game will only scare you, and we won't have it on our conscience if you get turned off of wargames forever.
All right, what about Theater of Death?
Squad-level tactical games have become more popular
great
than
looking
ever.
logo
Some of
there.
these, like EA's SEAL Team, are
Theater
serious,
of Death.
complex strategy exercises, while others, like Virgin's Cannon Fodder, are simpler and more amusing. though still retaining an element of strategy.
It's into this latter camp that Theater of Death, a new Psygnosis title, falls. It's kind of a cross between a strategy game and a third-person shooter. In Theater of Death, you control platoons of 5 soldiers from an isometric view in real time. The mission objective is usually simple: kill the enemy. The guy in green is the platoon leader. Selecting him as the active soldier allows you to move the entire platoon at once, but if he dies, you'll have to control them individually.
That's a real problem. I would have liked the ability to nominate a new leader to improve control.
You move around by either pointing or dragging with the left mouse button, and fire weapons with the right. One of the weapons you'll quickly become accustomed to is the grenade. Although very useful, I was annoyed that the things explode so quickly that there's no way to dodge an incoming pineapple.
Not only is that unrealistic, it's extremely frustrating too. Your men won't dodge grenades on their own, and if you have to switch control from one guy to the next, the one you're trying to save will be toast before you get a chance to move him. This large-scale map is where you'll choose the next mission to play. The map is divided into 4 segments by terrain type. The grassland, desert, and snow areas each contain 15 missions, and the lunar terrain houses 5 next-to-impossible scenarios for the truly deranged. The flags indicate which missions have been done and which lie ahead. White flags indicate available missions.
I liked the fact that you can always choose between 3 missions. It helps keep the game moving if you find a mission you can't get by. And you don't have to complete all the missions to progress to the next terrain type, so if you have a mental block on one mission, you won't miss the rest of the game.
On some missions, you'll have helicopters available to you. These are great fun and are armed with missiles as well as machine guns. Still, I found it a little odd that getting hit with a machine gun caused my copter to back up and even flee on occasion.
Picky, picky, picky. Helicopters always flinch when they're shot with a rifle. Where have you been? As you progress through the missions, you'll gain some new weapons like the flamethrower. Although this device is handy for burning down trees to clear your path, their limited range limits their effectiveness in person-to-person combat.
Fire is still cool, but M16s shoot much farther. That makes them much more desirable than the flamethrowers. Another toy you'll get to play with is the Armored Troop Transport. Its primary function is to move groups of soldiers quickly and safely, but that's not all it's good for. Although it has no weapons, you can drive it over enemy troops and reduce them to a tactically useless bloody smear.
Now that's my kind of tactic. Using your forces to mash the enemy in new
My
and
kind of tactic,
ways.
bloody
That's the way a war game
smears.
should be.
It's a fairly rare occurrence, but you'll occasionally be granted an airstrike to drop on your foe. This is a good way to safely wipe out a large chunk of the opposing forces if you're severely outnumbered. You'll have to use this feature wisely as this luxury is in short supply.
I was kind of disappointed with this. It works fine, but the graphics of the airstrike could have been better. Lots of explosions and napalm and stuff like that. That's what I want to see. Since
Bro
the whole
wants
idea of this
napalm,
game is
man.
to kill people, it's a pretty safe bet that Theater of Death
I'm
players
sorry, but
enjoy
I'm
watching people come
anti-napalm
apart
personally.
in bloody and comical ways. In this area, Theater of Death delivers. When a shoulder is shot to death, his head is likely to fly off in a spray of blood, and the flamethrower will burn unlucky targets to a crisp.
It may be sick, but it's funny, and funny is good. This game doesn't take itself too seriously, and that's for the best. It's not overwhelmingly violent, but you should get your gore quota here. Theater of Death is a decent, light tactical game of squad-based annihilation, but it's certainly not the best. The graphics and
I
sound
like the
are
dead
good,
bodies
but
in
the
the
control
river.
can be awkward, and
Sorry to be
directing each
grim.
soldier individually can make playing the game strategically very tedious and difficult. Still, if you're looking for a way to kill an hour or two, you should find Theater of Death entertaining.
I like cannon fodder better because it's easier to control, but Theater of Death is okay too. Tactically, it's a little more involved than cannon fodder, so fans of more traditional war games will probably like it better. It's not a major revelation, but it kept me entertained.
And last but not least, we've got not just football, but the ultimate football.
Thank God football players aren't on strike.
Oh my God,
Not being
look at
a baseball
them.
fan, I'm unaffected by the current players' strike in that sport. Football, however, is one of several obsessions for me, and going one Sunday without it would bring drastic results. During football season, I generally spend my weeknights playing football on my computer as well. Microprose's Coaches Club Football has been my simulation of choice, and its new incarnation, Ultimate NFL Coaches Club Football, may take its place. Ultimate Football, as it will most likely be called by most people, basically enhances all of the features of the old game. New graphics and animation are the most visible changes, but on the management side, several new league features are added. Trading and free agency options are included to more realistically simulate the off-the-field aspects of the NFL. On the field, gameplay is identical to the original Coaches Club. Well, I probably shouldn't say gameplay, because player control is not what this game is about. Ultimate
The
Football is by no
looks
means
like a
an arcade
piece
game.
of
If you want
roast
one of those,
chicken
go
right
get an
here,
SNES or
right?
Genesis,
Like, it
or at
looks
the very
like
least,
chicken.
accolades unnecessary roughness for the PC. No, the title says Coaches Club.
I think
and
I'm
a
just
typical game
hungry.
mainly consists of offensive and defensive play calling. The computer will actually carry out the plays, and does so quite realistically. Realism is important in sports games, and Ultimate Football scored high,
Yeah,
as
it's
it
that.
includes
It's the meat.
1994
Yeah,
rosters
that's
of all
exactly what it
28
is.
NFL teams, as well as each team's authentic base playbook. Even team coaches are ranked in several categories, providing a level of artificial intelligence unmatched elsewhere. All stats, rosters, and leagues can be edited, so creating your own fantasy league is easy. Finally, what may be Ultimate Football's biggest selling point is its inclusion of Franchise Football League Fantasy League software. Modem owners can call a number to download real NFL stats weekly during the season, organize a pool at your office, and send your fantasy teams against each other. Between this and Doom, office work may grind to a complete halt. We wouldn't want that to happen, now would we?
Yeah, fuck your office. All right, next up, it's time for game systems. Oh man, we got the Flintstones here. Ah, it's sick.
Every Jaguar owner in the world has the list of available games committed to memory. Well, now it's time to add one more to the list. Brutal Sports Football from Telegames is the first third-party title to be released for the Jag, and it's an omen of good things to come.
Jaguar owners will buy anything right now, so this one should do well. I liked it okay, but it wasn't what I expected. I was hoping for a serious sports game, and this isn't, not by a long shot.
Brutal Sports is a football-like game in which the object is to run or throw the ball through the opposing goal. Pretty simple. The catch is, there's no rules. If you want to go off sides and hit someone before the ball is in play, go ahead.
Like real football, this game is violent, but brutal football goes way beyond the limits of any organized sport. You can even stomp on fallen players to hurt them more. And since there's no law, you don't have to worry about penalties.
There's a good number of teams
I would
for you
like to
select,
think the
most
dudes
of
in the
which are
90s
humans,
who
but
were
there
like,
are
well,
3
I'm
mutant
unproductive
with
at work.
different abilities.
They're busy.
Lizards
They're
are
not
quick
the same
and can take
people
a
who
lot
are
of
like
damage.
bosses
The
now. I
rams are
assume
even
that they're
faster
still
than the
stuck in the
lizards,
same
and
dead-end
they have
job.
A nasty headbutt. The rhinos are the baddest boys in the league. They may not be fast, but you'll end up talking like Muhammad Ali if you get hit by them.
You can play isolated games or groups of games, or you can opt for league play. In this mode, you must face each team in the league, starting with the lowest of the low. Your league position and stats are stored as a password. This is a good way to play if you can't find another human to pick on. Control of the game is simple. The 8-way directional pad controls your active player's movement. Button B passes the ball, button C kicks, and button A activates a special item if you have one. The 1, 2, and 3 keys on the Jaguar controller set your team's formation to normal, offensive, or defensive. One of very few realistic features to this game.
The game's easy enough to control, but after a half hour or so of play, it really starts to hurt. You're constantly pressing the directional with your left thumb, and it gets pretty raw before too long. I don't want to but this was one game that should ship with protective padding. Apart from scoring goals, maiming and dismembering the opposing team is a high priority, and a lot of fun to boot. Each time a player is tackled, he takes a little damage, and dead players aren't very effective. I lost a game 12-0 because my goalie got decapitated.
The violence level detracts from the realism of the game, but after a little while I learned to like it. There's something powerfully gratifying about beating an opposing player to death just for the hell of it. Anyone who's played league sports before should appreciate that. Once you accept that Brutal Sports Football is not a serious sports title, the biggest flaw I could find with it was that it doesn't really push the limits of the Jaguar itself. We've got an extremely powerful new system here, but nothing to really show off its abilities.
I have to agree with you on that. The graphics and sounds are good, but they're not really above SNES quality. I didn't think this really hurt gameplay, though. Brutal Football may not sell many Jaguars on its own, but it will make current Jag owners a lot happier. Just running up and down the field and jumping on people could get a little boring after a while, so the folks at Telegames added a bunch of power-up icons that randomly appear on the field. The rabbit and tortoise affect your team's speed in obvious ways. You can also pick up nastier things like knives and
Yeah, I did not play this on
even
the...
bombs
I did not have a
clear a path in
Jaguar to
front of
play
you.
this
If you
on.
play a 2-player match, you'll get a couple extra icons to mess with. My favorite is the one that reverses the directions on your opponent's thumb pad. Brutal Football is a great 2-player game, and the ability to mess up your friend's controls just makes it all the more enjoyable. Although most matches are won by the number of goals, you can also win by killing 6 of the 7 enemy team members. This is where those weapons icons can really come in handy. If you fall way behind in score early on, concentrate on getting weapons and putting the hurt on the opposition.
Dead team members don't get replaced either, so look after your health if you want to win. And if a game goes into sudden death, the ball is abandoned and the match turns into a total headhunt. The severed heads even stay on the field, and you can pick them up and throw them. That may be sick, but sick is fun. Brutal Sports Football may not be a major video game revelation, but it's more fun than a barrel of burning riffs. It's got decent graphics and sound, non-stop action, and more violence than the World Cup. I'm looking forward to more games in the Brutal Sports series. Maybe Brutal Sports Golf? Brutal Sports Croquet?
Don't forget Brutal Sports Curling. I have to admit I liked this game, even though I didn't think I would at first. I'd still prefer
I
a
love
real
his
sports
billions
game to the
of
Jaguars,
abs, but no
Brutal
nipples.
Sports football should keep me pleasantly occupied until then. It's fun, addictive, and great for 2-player grudge matches.
All right, but what about the Flintstones? Was that good?
Meet the Flintstones from Tato, a side-scrolling adventure
Yes, they
with the
said it
look and feel
again!
of another Mario game. That similarity to Mario is a definite plus. There are 5 worlds to explore, each with a separate map to travel. Very Mario-esque. To add to that effect, most worlds have a special stage that is played to obtain
It's
a
a
desired
tato,
object,
tato,
and these special
tato.
stages are look-alike Mario Kart races,
You're
a nice
tato
way to
down the
beat
street.
each end boss without
Tato.
actually killing them. You can be either Fred or Barney in this 1- or 2-player game. If you're a bigger fan
This
of
game's
Betty or
good.
Roma,
We ranked this
beware,
good on our
they're roaming around,
mascot
but if you run into
platformer
them,
list.
they'll drag you back to the start of whatever level you're on. This usually isn't good, so you should avoid the ladies unless you want to quickly return to the start of a level. You determine the number of stages you have to travel through by rolling a 3-sided rock die. This downright bedrock idea occasionally allows you to skip ahead, but you usually end up starting at the first level. The Flintstones isn't very challenging, but it does increase in difficulty as you move toward the final toughest world. Graphically, the game had very little slowdown. For the most part, the Flintstones looked good, but the cinematic displays at the end of each world were a little weak. They featured very little on-screen movement and no speech, so I
watch
generally
me
went
scare
right
Fred out
past
of his
them.
balls.
The absolute worst feature of the Flintstones was the password feature to save the
That's a
game.
terrible
The password
password
consisted
feature.
of 15 symbols that required a full piece of paper to copy or a Polaroid camera. Not only was each of the 15 symbols a picture item from Bedrock, there must have been 10 or 12 different picture symbols possible. A big drawback to an otherwise solid game.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Interactive Entertainment is the world's #1 selling CD mag, and now you can have IE delivered to your door every month. and save up to
password was
$60
Apple
off the newsstand
Burger
price.
Barrel
Our reviewers give you a
3,
guided tour of the most current
maybe
releases,
a gun?
letting you know which games are must-haves and which ones deserve a leash. As a bonus, you'll get playable demos, all
Always
the best
gets
shareware
shocked by
releases,
that dog
complete
bark.
commercial games, and all the patches the paper
Ruff, ruff,
magazines
buy
can
this
only tell
thing.
you about, all for less than $5 a month. Call today, 1-800-56-CD-MAG.
And now, back to IE.
Okay, let's check out the Jungle Book. Ah!
First and
Sorry,
foremost, I'll say this.
I don't know why I'm
the
so
Jungle
shocked
Book
today.
from Virgin is not just a children's game. In fact, it'll offer a reasonable challenge to any player at any level of skill. Needless to say, this will not be a short run through the jungle. You are Mowgli, an Indian boy raised by a pack of wolves. Your goal is to reach safety in the human village. Safety from what, you ask? Well, let's just say a terrible tiger named Shere Khan, who wouldn't exactly mind a little Mowgli steak, is on the prowl. Better get moving. If you're familiar with the game Aladdin, the Jungle Book will look similar. Mowgli and all the other characters have been tastefully animated and are a true sight for sore eyes. What I wouldn't do to be able to swing from vine to vine with the greatest of ease. One of the most interesting aspects of the game is how Mowgli displays his impatience when he remains in the same location for a few seconds.
He does
you
a-
name it, and Mowgli
he
will
does
do
a
it,
dumb
because
little
this
dance.
boy
He has a gay
wants
little
to
dance
go.
to piss you
Mowgli
off.
has a host of weapons to aid him during this little trek. He has single and double fire bananas, boomerang bananas, and a pea shooter. Very essential. He also has a couple of the best jungle friends a person could ask for in Baloo the bear and Bagheera the panther. The Jungle Book is a treat to play. Mowgli has to collect a certain amount of gems before each level can be completed. Some levels require Mowgli to fight a bad guy like Kea the snake. The game is great fun to play, and your fingers
the
will soon grow
snake?
tired of rapid-firing bananas at the bad guys.
Furries
The
all
beautiful
over,
animation and great
screaming.
gameplay are worth it.
The
Just be
fighting.
careful.
No,
Remember,
his name's not
it's
Kea.
a jungle out there.
His name's never been Kea. What the fuck? Have you? Yeah, I guess you've never seen the movie Kea. It's Ka, you uneducated buffoon.
In the year of the hated baseball strike, we have several ways to ease the pain. We can watch the minor leagues play, or we can play video games.
I hate the
Nintendo
minor
strongly
leagues. Well, get
suggests
over
that
yourself.
You take the video game route and play Ken Griffey Jr. Presents Major League Baseball for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Ken Griffey is a baseball game with great graphic detailing and real teams, but no real players other than Ken Griffey Jr. A sports game lacking real players in this era is like a store that stocks no merchandise. To me, that's a major league letdown. Aside from that,
the guy's got big arms.
Ken Griffey Baseball has nice graphics.
Is that Mark McGwire?
And the players are very well detailed. For example, some players that chew gum may blow a bubble while at that, while others might flex neck and arm muscles. Once again, Nintendo has paid plenty of attention to the game. The game is very strong in the fact that it looks great. At times, fielding can be tricky, to say the least. When the ball is hit to the outfield, the place the ball will land is marked as an X. Your player closest to the ball is marked with a small colored circle, and the ball is marked with a small white circle. And you'll spend some time tracking that little sucker too. Another great visual that's a pain during play is the outfield wall. If a player runs into the wall, he falls and takes a second to get back on his feet. Looks cool, but isn't exactly a crucial element I couldn't live without. Ken Griffey Baseball does have some different game types that add to the variety of the game. You get a single game, all-star game with home run derby, World Series, or season play. Season play offers short, medium, or full season length in case you don't feel up to a full 162-game schedule. You won't be scrolling through the full season in one afternoon. In fact, you may not even come close to winning your first few games. Good luck, you're gonna need it.
All right, so more news about the baseball strike. Thank you, Justin DR1, for the follow. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Now you can know the next time I play Misadventures of Flink.
Flink is a little magician with a big head, but don't hold that against him. In the Misadventures of Flink by Psygnosis, he's out to stop an evil wizard whose destructive magic threatens the inhabitants of the Enchanted Island. As you can see from the overhead view, this is no easy task. Flink can only fly so far, and then he has to travel the dangerous road. There's lots of nasty dwarves, trolls, and other minions of the wizard who are out to stop Flink. Unfortunately, he's an agile guy and he can jump on their heads. He also has some magic scrolls and potions to help him on his way. While the platform game style is familiar, the graphics in Flink set it well above the other games of this type. Here, Flink is being swooped upon by dragons from the third dimension. Flink has over 50 levels, enough to challenge even the most avid Mario fiend. The engaging, humorous graphic style and the spellcasting aspects of the game will keep players coming back for more. Look for the Misadventures of Flink for the Sega Genesis this fall.
Okay, I will look for it. Folks, Patank! This is 3DO, I think,
While
right?
pinball simulations have gotten a lot more sophisticated in recent years, the basic game has remained the same. I mean, it's pinball, right? Whatever the picture on the scoreboard, you're still using flippers and bumpers to keep a ball on a table.
Mega
What's the change?
Nintendog, I've had my own Twitch channel for, man, I think I started really in April or May doing like full-time streaming.
Is the sound of a
Well, not
ball hitting a
full-time, but
bumper.
once a week
In the game,
streaming.
you get to choose between 3 playing fields. Carnival O Love.
Okay, it was 3DO. I knew it.
As you can see, you are not so much a ball as a little flying saucer, but that doesn't slow things down any. In addition to the 3 levels, you get to pick the meta game, which sends you back and forth through a series of narrow tunnels from one playing field to the next. This is the only pinball game I've ever heard of with a play.
Thank you, Mega Nintendog, for the follow. Appreciate that.
True. This is still basically a pinball game.
Oh, I
complete with
hate
bumpers,
this. Sorry.
shoots, ramps,
This game makes
targets,
me
and
very
lots of bells
sick.
and whistles. There's also a full stereo rock soundtrack with a running commentary that you can toggle off when it gets annoying. It's really the perspective that makes Patank exciting. Don't forget to use your magnetos or you're headed down the drain.
All right. What about last but not least? In our look at the reviews and previews, it's time for Road Rash.
Picture this.
Okay.
You're racing through the city on a motorcycle.
Picturing it.
Speeds are approaching 150 miles per hour. Suddenly on the horizon, a fellow biker appears. Instead of just passing him, you decide to take out a club and whack him on the head and give him a few good kicks. Then in the distance, you hear police sirens. They're hot on your trail for speeding. Don't worry, just punch the cop a few times and he's history.
Hey, watch out for that granny crossing the street.
Oops, she's now a statistic? Wait, you don't need to picture that scene. Experience it in Electronic Arts' killer new 3DO title, Road Rash.
The premise is simple. You and your biker friends are engaged in a competition to see who is the supreme motorcycle racer. Along the city and country highways, uncommissioned motorcycle races take place. What's at stake? Besides your reputation and life being on the line, cash also plays a major role. As for a story or plot during the game, there are a few quarrels and friendships that transpire between the drivers, but there's no real underlying plot. The concentration here is on pure, unadulterated racing action.
Before you even have a chance to turn on the hazard lights, the game starts up by asking you to select a character. Pick between a cast of cheerful characters, including Slim Jim, who would have been the class clown if he hadn't dropped out, and Teflon Mike, who was dropped on his head at a young age.
Geez, those guys could be writers for IE. It's off to the races now, so take the closest on-ramp and hold on to your horses.
What's this? Ah, yes, the Sega Genesis version of Road Rash in 64 luscious colors, with music that sounds as if it was performed by Beaker from the Muppets and powered by a 16-bit engine. Next slide, please. Now, dramatically upgrade the number of colors on the screen, add CD quality music, and install a state-of-the-art 32-bit engine, and welcome to the next generation, the 3DO version of Road Rash. During the race, you never actually get a first-person behind-the-wheel view of the action. Rather, you always see the motorcycle and the race from behind the bike you are driving in a third-person perspective. The only problem with this is that there are no rear-view mirrors and thus no way to see the other bikers creeping up on you.
What you can see, however, is beautiful. Fully texture-mapped
It does look
polygons
good.
are displayed at a
You
blazing
can say
speed,
that about
and the
Road
action
Rash.
is
It's a good-looking
seamless.
game.
This game looks better than most coin-op motorcycle racing games.
And it's fast, too. This game makes Crash and Burn look like a caterpillar race. This being a 3DO game, naturally, full-motion video is integrated into
I love the full-motion video in Road Rash. It's so sick.
With nice motorcycle stunts and good humor.
The video's not bad, but the soundtrack is awesome. The game includes CD audio tracks supplied by a number of alternative bands, including Soundgarden.
Unlike normal racing games, when an opponent upsets you in
That's
Road
what happens
Rash,
when
you
I
can
mention
actually do
Soundgarden
something
too.
about
It just
it.
explodes.
Yeah. Hit, kick, punch, slash, and even slice and dice.
All those verbs correctly describe the high-speed combat that unravels during the race. These battles, combined with cars, cops, and pedestrians, add an interesting aspect to Road Rash.
I'll say, I have to love a game in which you can catch air off a rubbernecking jaywalker and pound the cop who complains about it into pate. There are 5 main race locations in the game, ranging from the city streets to the high Sierra Mountains. On each level, players are required to finish in the top 3 positions in all 5 races to progress to the next level. While the 5 race courses never change theme throughout the game, each level expands the length and difficulty of the courses. This means that the game graphics lose their wow appeal after a few levels because they become somewhat repetitive.
Don't worry, once you progress to levels 4 and 5, you won't have time to look at the pretty graphics because you'll be fighting to stay on top. When you're not schmoozing with other Road Rashers in the local town bar, stop by the Scooterama shop to check out the latest and greatest in speed bikes. As you progress through the racing circuit, you win money, putting some of these faster bikes within your grasp. 3D rendered flybys of all the bikes are shown so you can drool over the future prospects, which are only possible if your racing career takes off.
Road Rash scores high marks on my speedometer. It's not just a racing simulation or a fighting game, but it successfully blends elements from both genres into an eclectic mix of excitement.
The 3DO version of this game is miles ahead of the very popular Sega Genesis version, both in terms of appearance and gameplay.
The game is a major adrenaline rush. I was on the tip of my seat all the way through this high-speed roller coaster ride.
Not me, I'm full in my seat.
You should definitely drop the cash to get the rash.
Folks, you heard it here first. Drop the cash, get the rash. All right, let's look at the hints and tips. There's a lot here. Okay.
Your free game this month is Minecraft's military sci-fi epic Strike Squad. It's a high-action planet-jumping adventure in which you'll lead a band
Drop
of
the
eager
cash,
mercenaries
get
into
the
bloody
rash.
battle after bloody battle, all in a quest for galactic peace and vengeance. And if that isn't enough to get your blood pumping and your mouse finger itchy, keep watching. We'll lead you step by step through the process of starting the game. The galaxy suffers under the murderous rule of the Kakistic, a race of insectoid oppressors with a taste for the resources of peaceful humans and their allies. You're one of the less peaceful humans, a successful human mercenary commander. You've made a pretty decent living off of the Kakistic threat, heroically averting their evil operations across known space. Playing the well-paid rebel has been good enough for you, until recently. On a routine homecoming trip in your spiffy starship, you get some bad news. The Kakistic have ravaged and destroyed your homeworld of Bao, murdering your family and friends. No longer are you content to play the penny ante merc.
look like
it's
this.
time for blood. And you won't
Aw,
rest
I like
until
that
you
cat
crack
guy.
the carapace of the Kakistic High Commander himself under your boot. Fortunately, you have a lead to start you on your mission. A skilled merc by the name of Sakura Yamashi, the ninja, is hiding out on planet Trindor, disguised as a cocktail waitress. Find Yamashi, and you've got a major ally and a contact with more talent to take down the Kakistic once and for all. After the intro screens, you'll find yourself on the space display shown here. Move the mouse cursor until it turns into a go over planet Trindor. Click there and your starship will fly to the planet and the adventure will begin. Before you start spilling blood and guts all over the galaxy, you'll have to handpick your team of mercs to do the job. You'll start here on your starship, and you can move the mouse cursor around to explore and examine your options. Click on the Statistics button, and you'll get a dossier for any merc you're highlighting at the moment. This information is more than just atmosphere. Each merc is different, and you'll have to choose carefully to get the right team for each job that comes up. Bring your mercenaries back to the shuttle loading pad, assembling them for action. You move your mercenaries by taking the mouse cursor where you want them to go and keeping the right button down. As long as the button is down, the mercenary will walk toward the cursor. Once you got the team on the numbered pads, click on the shuttle key to send them into orbit around Trindor. The next scene will show planet Trindor itself. Just click on the city of Rogon and you're off to action. You'll start out here at the western edge of Rogon. Move your mercenaries the same way you've moved them on the ship. Don't worry about moving them individually. Your number one mercenary is the leader, and the others will follow him unless you tell them not to.
I want to lead.
Before you start
I
wading
want to
into
lead.
danger, though, you might want to click on the surveillance button. This will let you call up a map of the town. As you can see, Yamashi is tucked away down in that bar in the southwest part of town. Drag your mercenaries down the street. You're going to have to take out some guards. Combat is pretty automatic. The second the bad guys fire on your team, they'll return fire automatically. And if you picked even close to decent mercenaries for your team, you'll cover the screen with carnage with no casualties. To contact Yamashi, just click on her, and she'll want you to get her belt back before she'll join up. It's at the bar
she needs a
directly north
belt.
of where you're at. Before you click on the bartender to waste him, move behind the bar so that your whole
All right,
team
one
has
of the
a
cats
clear
is
shot.
trying to get
This will
in.
practically guaranteed a clean kill.
I can hear
The
them
carnage
pawing
will
at
be
my
swift,
door.
and you'll probably end up
Tauntingly
wasting a
pawing.
few rowdy drunks and wrecking the bar in the process. Don't let that bother you. They've got insurance. Click on the dead barkeep's body to take the lucky belt to give the ninja, then head back to deliver it. When you get the belt back to Yamashi, she'll be all ready with information on the next stage of your adventure. But you still need to handle the town you're in first. To get the ninja to follow you, you can't miss her. She's the one you can't see. Click the cursor on her, and then on the follow button on the left-hand side of the
super
screen.
genius. I
After that,
learned
click on your group leader.
at the
This will instruct
at
Yamashi
the
to
Johnson
follow the
Space
group
Center.
around. You can
That
use the
space is
same
cool.
routine to get
Space
any
is really
character to
cool.
follow any other. Before you leave, it'll be a good idea to clean out the town. Talk briefly to this mechanic for more clues for later adventure, for instance. And especially good idea is to visit the gun salesman. Buy up the biggest guns and armor you can. You'll need it on the next stage of the game, and a poorly equipped party will be wet wallpaper in the enemy stronghold. Now you've finished your contact mission, and you've got the ninja and some sharp new equipment. Just click on the call shuttle button, and you're off to orbit again, and your real adventure awaits.
All right, what about TIE Fighter?
Far from being just another space shoot-'em-up, TIE Fighter is a complex simulation that demands that you think fast, react faster, and know your ship inside and out. This month, with a little help from the Force and Prima Publishing, we offer up a collection of general tips to help you stay alive and serve the Emperor.
All right, energy management.
Balancing energy between your cannons, engines, and shields is a crucial skill to learn. Cannons recharge faster than shields, so one good trick is to set your cannons at an accelerated recharge rate and dump the accumulated energy into your shields. With this technique, you can use your shields to store unneeded energy and then redirect it to your cannons or your engines as needed.
Okay, what about being outnumbered?
You'll quickly find that many of your TIE fighter missions will have you fighting masses of enemy ships. When outnumbered, don't just fire reactively at the closest target. Seek out the greatest threat to your mission and attack it first, and stick with it until it's disabled or destroyed. You can then pick off the easier targets with greater safety.
What about escort missions? Everyone's favorite.
When escorting other ships, don't let the enemy draw you away from your herd. If you're more than 8 or 10 clicks away from your escorted ship, an attack from the ship's other side will strike before you can get back to a defensive posture. Try to draw enemy fire away from your escorted ships by flying within range of their guns and making a nuisance of yourself. Skilled gunners can even hang back and wait for the rebels to fire warheads, then spray the area with fire to destroy the incoming missiles.
Okay, and corkscrew avoid.
To perform an attack run and avoid incoming fire, a maneuver called the corkscrew avoid can be extremely useful. Target the ship you wish to attack, then go into a turn while pushing the stick forward or back. Your stick should be about halfway to a corner position, and the enemy's radar blip should move to about halfway from the display center. When attacking a large ship, use a slow spiral and use a tight spiral for starfighters.
And losing missiles.
Sooner or later, someone will fire a missile at you, so you should know how to avoid them. Some hotshots like to turn toward the enemy craft and head straight for it with their guns blazing. But if your nerves can't handle that, there's another option. Target the missile in your CMD so you can get a distance report and get your speed up to 100 or better. Run away from the missile, and when it zeroes in to about 4 clicks away, turn toward it hard. Hold your turn, and the missile should safely self-detonate.
All right, what about leading a wing?
Never forget to use your wingmen. When attacking a large ship, giving them the command to attack your target will create a unified assault and greatly increase your chances of victory. If you're badly injured or need to guard a mission-critical craft, you can hang back from the action, target enemy vessels, and command them to attack. Your score won't be very high, but you'll get through the mission.
Okay, and using a target
Your target presets, which are activated by the F5, F6, and F7 keys, give you instant information on selected vessels, so use them frequently.
Chat, what's your favorite war in the
Your
stars?
wing leader, but are also good for keeping tabs on any mission-critical craft in the area.
And attacking large
When
ships.
it's necessary to attack a large ship and an unshielded craft,
You go
attack
in a
from the
circle,
rear.
buddy.
When you get to about 1.5 clicks distance, start a short attack run of 4 or 5 shots. Then pull on the stick to execute a full loop and put yourself in position for another attack.
All right, that's a lot about TIE Fighter. What about the Grandest Fleet?
The Grandest Fleet, like the Lost Admiral before it, is a lovely little gem of a game that will eat hours and hours of time, but it has one fatal flaw that will not be remedied by any bug fix: the manual. The manual looks like it was written by someone who doesn't have a green card yet. The first time I encountered the Grandest Fleet, I had no documentation, so when I saw this screen for the first time, I felt much like Scotty or Chekhov in that scene from a Star Trek movie where they're trying to figure out how to start the Klingon ship's engines. After you play a while, some of those lovely symbols will light up in green, showing you that you have enough people, chemicals, uranium, bauxite, or oil to start building the facilities for a super ship, in this case, a super carrier. That means it's a good time to click on the small green T. The small t will be replaced by an uppercase T. If it is faintly visible through a green background as shown here, you can build another training area.
Fucking
by all
hate
means,
this.
do so. All 3 training centers must be in the same city
I
to
hate
enable
this.
supership construction. At some point, you will see a red uppercase T appear,
Chad,
meaning
this is
that
a
you can no longer
crime.
build a training center. That may be because you don't have any more people or because you don't have enough culture. You will sometimes get a cryptic message saying no unused chains. These chains are groups of 3 of one type of asset which you need to build one of the supership facilities. To check on those chains, look at any city up close and personal by right-clicking on it while in movement mode. When the 3rd training center is completed, an uppercase letter appears on the production display. Now you can start building super carriers. Aren't they a lovely sight? That is, as long as they're yours.
Oh man, Infinite Candy, thanks for the follow.
If you can't keep the strength above
And I
zero,
missed it
you'll
earlier.
go
Thank
back
you,
to the
Fix Your
airport,
Heart or
and any
Die, for
facilities
the follow
built
as
there
well.
will be
Thank you so
lost.
much.
It doesn't help at all that Hanover is right next door to an enemy stronghold. A good-sized town, too, with plenty of cruise missiles to be a pain in your backside. There is a way around it if you can afford the resource outlay. The first thing to do with a city like Hanover is put a convoy there. That will ensure that the city will replace at least some of its losses when the other side bombards it. After you are done with the city improvement screen, go to your new city and put all the resources you can afford into building it up. Do this by left-clicking on that city's line on the production display. Early on, you only need to raise it about 15 in size. Later, you'll have to pump it up as much as you can. Even raising it by 50 may not be enough. Hanover looks a lot better now. During your next production phase, be sure to build a hospital in your
Thank you
new
for following
conquest,
Kiwi
and
the
as
Tortoise.
many
Hell yeah.
downtowns as you can
I hit my
afford. If you have
follower
a
goal,
hospital and a
490. I'm
convoy
so
in the
close
same
to
city,
500.
it will heal
Thank
6
you so
points of
much.
damage a turn without
Thank God
you
I'll be at
spending a
500
dime.
soon.
If you're within shouting distance of an enemy city, as Hanover is here, you should also build one or more forts. The computer likes to beat up on forts and will often ignore your cities to go after them. You can
Magnificent
also
Scoops,
return
thanks for the
favor,
follow
as
as
I'm about
well.
to do.
Hell yeah.
This process of accelerated city construction is what the computer has been using against you to make its cities so hard to conquer, much like building up a beachhead after an invasion. Till next time, make them take your orders, and always supersize it.
All right, time for Harpoon 2.
Ah, the wonders of Harpoon 2, a game that offers you the chance to become at least as confused and harried as commanders are in real life. Yuck, what a mess. You try scrubbing it out, you try soaking it out, and it's still there. Harpoon 2 gives us all these range circles, land boundaries, and 5011 other things to display information, but if you turn them all on, it's chaos. So, first off, let's enter the preferences menu and turn off everything except what you see here. The only time I turn on weapon or sensor range circles in the formation editor is if I had a pressing need, such as an enemy
Oh shit,
sub in my
Infinite
formation.
Candy, thank
Even
you for
then,
the
I prefer
Prime
to use a
sub.
zoom
Thank you so
window that I can
much.
center where I want it. There now, that's better. Let's go through how to change a threat assignment. Here's our first victim, the Andromeda, currently assigned to anti-surface warfare. To change your assignment, click on the Andromeda, then click on the little triangle thingy in the threat axis you want her to change to. I've chosen to put her on ASW duty. Now that the ASW axis is active, punch the giant PZ letters at the top of the window. On the screen, click on one of the corners of the area that you want her to patrol, and hold down the left mouse button while dragging the mouse pointer to the opposite corner. For example, if you choose the upper left corner to start the patrol zone, then drag the mouse to the lower right corner. Once you have a patrol zone that's to your liking, let go of the left mouse button. That will bring you to the patrol menu. Since we're assigning the Andromeda to an ASW patrol, select Sprint and drift from the menu and click on OK. There she sits, all shipshape and Bristol fashion. Don't worry about it if you draw a patrol zone you're not happy with. Just go ahead and cancel the dialog box, then click on the PZ icon again and redraw the patrol zone. For aircraft,
You have the
things work a
original
bit
Harpoon
differently if
on
they haven't been
6
launched yet. To
diskettes?
set one
Oh
up,
my
find a ship
God.
that has some planes. Any old ship will do. Select the ship, then click on
And
that
an
tiny
essay
little
by Tom
airplane.
Clancy. That's
Go ahead and draw a
wild.
patrol zone like you did before, only you can make it larger, since aircraft can cover larger areas effectively. The only aircraft you should assign to the formation is ASW planes. If you assign any AAW or AEW aircraft to patrol zones in a formation, they will have the same MCON status as the ships do. So you'd have to either leave the formation electronically silent or turn it on and show everything. When you release the mouse button, you'll see this dialog box. For helos, select the dipping sonar, leaving their sonobuoys for working a contact. If you have any Sea Kings, Seahawks, or other long-range choppers, use them for ASW patrols and leave those short-range HAS-3 and lamps ready on the deck to prosecute a hot contact. After choosing dipping sonar and hitting OK, choose one or more aircraft to fly in this patrol zone. If you can, pick 2 birds for every station. That way, you'll have constant coverage. Frankly, those short-range helos suck rocks for long-term ASW work, but they're just the thing to hop over and lob a weapon or two in the water once you find a sub. If you want to change the patrol zone of aircraft already in flight, pick the bird you want and click on that PZ icon again, then draw up a new patrol zone. When the patrol zone is sized to your liking, let go. Don't get too ambitious when setting helo patrol zones. You want them close to the launching ship, and you don't want to make them much larger than twice a ship's zone in order to get a decent coverage. Voila! A somewhat more realistic patrol zone than before. By the way, you can turn the display of threat axes on and off using that weird black icon with a long yellow angle bracket and the small orange box. It ain't pretty, but it does the job. When the computer decides to use an aircraft that you don't want out there, or you need to grab the nearest helo right now to jump on a new sonar contact, there is a way to take control back from the computer. Grab the helo with your mouse. Now, hit the black icon with the 2 sets of blue circles. If you're successful, you'll see a display like this one and no unit will be selected. If you want to return control of the unit to the computer, hit the CPU button. There, see? No patrol zone is assigned and the helo is available for other duty. If you want to do anything useful with this helo, you should go to a zoom window where the icon will
I did.
resume
Okay,
the
that
normal
makes
function.
sense to Tom.
Fly, be
I
free.
could see
If you
Tom
need to send
Clancy
the helo
using
back
the
home
harp,
for refueling,
using some
just click
kind
on
of
the
strategy
airplane
game to
icon
plan
again
out
and
the
pick up
hunt
the
for Red
carrier battle
October.
group. The helo off to the right in this picture is an AEW Sea King. I set all the AEW Sea Kings I had on an AEW patrol mission using the mission editor. That way I can turn their radar on when they get far enough away from the formation that they won't be a tattletale. Now that we're done, you might want to put the Andromeda back on our anti-surface warfare mission, just to tidy up. As we sail off into the sunset, keep your weapons tight and your thoughts free. Until next time, good luck and good hunting.
All right, what about XCOM?
Let's face it, those of us playing XCOM have a problem. We can't stop talking about it,
Yeah.
or thinking about it, or posting about it on the national networks. And one of the
On
things
the
we're talking
national
about a lot
networks,
is what will turn a
yeehaw!
profit. I have pored over a sea of figures gleaned from files on the different networks. After studying them carefully, I concluded that none of them could be taken as gospel. In fact, all of these lists are wrong in one fashion or another. Many have errors of omission which combine to hide the kernel of truth within. When you add in the salaries, sign-up bonuses, workshops, and living quarters, hiring and keeping an engineer is an expensive proposition, so we'd better know what we're about. Talk on the boards has drifted back and forth, never really settling on the best item to make. The first general consensus was that laser pistols were the most wonderful thing since sliced bread and would solve all our financial woes. Next, someone mentioned laser rifles, then heavy lasers, and after that it got a bit chaotic. Some of those in front were shouting about medikits, and in the center aisles a scuffle broke out between the motion scanner faction and the Mind Probe Conservancy. Then a chorus arose from the back chanting, "Heavy plasma! Heavy plasma!" It was looking pretty grim since the plasmoids had actually brought their item of choice and were intent on settling the dispute by gunfire. When some bright soul pointed out that they hadn't put in a new clip since their last crash site investigation, they sheepishly sat down, mumbling, "Well, any old plasma bin." This brief moment of silence was broken when, with a thunderous crash, the back wall opened to reveal a man standing on a vehicle. "Laser tank," was all he said. We all dutifully agreed. He did have the biggest gun after all, and began producing laser tanks. This phase lasted until Alas strafed the auditorium with laser cannons, which were mounted on her interceptor. Those wearing personal armor, power suits, and flying suits went their own way, while the rest of us took on the new Victor standard as our own. One forlorn person who had fallen from the balcony lay draped over the seats as we left, repeating over and over, "It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. They all lose money." I then decided to start from scratch and go to the source. I stopped all production at 2 of my bases and had an engineer build one of each item in XCOM.
Tips
There
of
was
some
grumbling
sort.
at first, but when I reminded them who pays their salaries, they raced off to their workshops and went to it. From the information they provided, I composed this spreadsheet. Stop screaming, you'll wake the children. Starting with the basics, what things cost.
I don't like the spreadsheet. Oh my god. It's done in Lotus 1, 2, 3.
Question. What brings in the big bucks? To turn these dry figures into something more immediately accessible, voila, the gross profit chart. 3 of the first 5 indices weren't even mentioned in those voluminous posts. Leading the pack is the Hover Tank launcher at $143,000, followed by Hover Tank Plasma, which makes a good showing at $130,000. Then UFO Power Source at $120,000, Tank Laser Cannon reading at $94,000, and finally Flying Suits at $57,000. The fog starts to clear when we get to the net profit chart. Our 3 front runners are in the same
look
order.
at this.
The Hover Tank launcher
Oh my god.
at $51,916 is losing ground
Is
to Hover
this
Tank
what you
Plasma
people do?
at $51,902.
You
UFO Power
XCOM
Supply
people, do you
remains in
use
third with
spreadsheets and graphs?
$39,766. A dark horse
Yeah,
coming
these are
up on the
Eve
outside
players
is
to me.
Fusion Ball Launcher at $22,284. Tank Laser Cannon is trailing, showing $21,736. Sadly, Flying Suit has dropped to the rear, running in the red. Any item not in the red on this chart will make some money, but how much? They're entering the first turn now, and the leaders have changed. UFO Power Source is well ahead, with 30.59%. If you have plenty of everything except money, this is the place to put what's left. The rest of the leaders are bunched up, but there's some new blood. We have Psyamp at 9.23%, Fusion Ball Launcher at 9.21%, Laser Cannon with 9.05%, and Small Launcher showing 8.98%. Going into the second turn, we have another change in the lead. Fusion Ball Launcher at $40,111 and Laser Cannon at $39,511 are running neck and neck, showing how quickly they can turn a profit, closely followed by Hover Tank Plasma posting a strong $31,149, Plasma Beam with $27,986, and Hover Tank Launcher at $26,692. What this chart and the remaining 3 reveal is the importance of throughput. Not only do you have to make money on each item you build, but you also have to make a lot of them
I
in a
love
hurry
seeing
to
Lotus
succeed.
1, 2, 3.
Fusion
Oh,
Ball
it's such a
Launcher showing
classic.
796 and Laser Cannon with 784 are setting a pace that the rest of the pack will be hard put to keep up with. Psyamp is making a comeback at 591, while Plasma Beam has fallen back slightly at 431. Motion Scanner has won a hard-fought 5th place with 258. We only have so much space in these bases, so it's important to get the maximum yield from our manufacturing real estate. They're coming down the home stretch, and the winner is Fusion Ball Launcher by a nose over Laser Cannon. The payoff line is Fusion Ball Launcher 5571, Laser Cannon 5488, Hover Tank Plasma 4326, Plasma Beam 3887, Hover Tank Launcher 3707. In examining this, you should note that none of the costs of using alien alloys to produce other things, such as flying suits, was taken into account. It would only make matters worse for those items requiring it, and once you can take on a supply ship or battleship, you have more alien alloys than you know what to do with anyway. Do yourself a favor, and sell the stuff if it's causing your stores to bulge. Considering all the overhead, I think the last 3 charts point the way. I became financially independent once I started building laser cannons, and I hope to do even better now that I know about fusion ball launchers. The items I tried out before, even tank laser cannons, didn't provide a big enough return to keep my head above water and take time out to build things I needed. When next we meet, we'll discuss base layouts, and if we have time, have fun with blaster bombs.
And now for a word from our sponsors.
Interactive Entertainment is the world's number one
Yeah,
selling
I don't
CD
usually
Mac. And now
associate
you can have
spreadsheets
ID
with
delivered to your
XCOM,
door every month
but
and
I
save
guess
up
you
to
could.
$60 off the newsstand price. Our reviewers give you a guided tour of the most current releases, letting you know which games are must-haves and which ones deserve a leash. As a bonus, you'll get playable demos,
Love that
all the
dog.
best shareware releases, complete commercial games, and all the patches the paper magazines can only tell you about, all for less than $5 a month. Call today, 1-800-56-CD-MAC.
And now, back to IE.
Last but not least, we've got the Superhero League of Hoboken.
Click on the button for the appropriate level. Remember, an effective hero is a well-prepared hero. Or was that the other way around?
Let's try level 1. Limburger bomb could make the New York, Jersey City marketplace uninhabitable.
Go buy these cheese-eating microbes from the pawnbroker of Patterson Marketplace, Sector 2D, coordinates 88. Then come back and pour them on the bomb.
Okay.
The Jersey City Marketplace is in your sector, 2C, at coordinates 12-8.
What about a flock of rabid sheep? Just tell me what to do.
Go to the pawnbroker at Patterson Marketplace, Sector 2D, coordinates 88, and pick up the sheep spray. Then spray it on the sheep.
Oh man, Hot Lavy, thanks for the raid. We are going through the final bits of issue 6 of Interactive Entertainment.
With 1 viewers.
All right. What about Dr. Entropy? How do I do it? Oh, it won't tell me.
Use the absorbent cloth from the warehouse to pick up the sheep drool, the transmission fluid, and the flower pot dirt. The wall will dissolve. Then you just need the right hero in your party to defeat Dr. Entropy.
Common malfunction in the Patterson threatens to cause local unrest. They're not going to tell you a damn thing on that one. Okay. What about a cache of jalapeno peppers in Newark must be destroyed before they can infiltrate the local water table? That's fine. Spicy water's fine.
The warehouse is in Newark at coordinates 10-2.
They ain't giving me a lot of hints at all. What about level 2? Preserve the secret formula for Silly Putty.
Go to the Newark Control Tower, Sector 2C, coordinates 76, and get the Pappy outfit from the locker. Put it on and convince the old man to tell. Then leave, take off the outfit, and come back in and get the formula.
Discover why the Scranton Superhero League is not responding to communications. Tell me. No, they can't tell me. They'll just give me the location
Scranton
info.
Superhero League headquarters is in Scranton at coordinates 6-5. To get there, take the Gray Line from Newark.
What about the Piscataway Warlord? Man, they messed this up bad.
The Piscataway Warlord
Piscataway, sorry.
is in Sector 1B at coordinates 13-9.
Dr. Entropy, what you doing?
Buy the transmitter from the pawnbroker at Piscataway Market, Sector 1B, coordinates 12-7. The only thing that will play in it is the Sinatra DAT.
And acquire some guacamole for the League's Cinco de Mayo party next month. Okay. Oh, it looks like there's a strike going on. Well, we don't get to learn about it.
The Guacamole Factory is in Sector 1C at coordinates 4-5.
Guacamole Factory? Get that shit from HEB. What are you doing, New Jersey? You don't need a whole factory for that. And here is an entire list of all the shit you can do. That's a lot of info. That's a lot of info. All right, and folks, that was issue 6 of Interactive Entertainment. I thought that was pretty good, aside from some of the broken stuff. I learned a lot. Some good stuff in here, a lot of Dark Forces stuff. So they were really, really, really harping on that. And Dragon Lore with that guy's weird hair. Good stuff, good stuff. All right.
Hey, don't miss episode 7 of IE with in-depth coverage of the next big LucasArts adventure game, Full Throttle, as well as Sierra's foray into the world of the supernatural, Phantasmagoria, and the newest game with the Sid Meier name, Colonization. All that and more in the next episode of IE.
All right, folks, that was Interactive Entertainment issue 6. It is now safe to turn off my computer. Okay, I will. Wait, no, I have to keep streaming. I can't turn it off. Fuck. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching. I'll be back next Tuesday with a Christmas multimedia showcase, and I will be showing off one of the first CGI direct-to-video movies ever made. It's Christmas themed. It's something. So definitely look forward to some Christmas multimedia and some jank Christmas VHS. It'll be a good one. It'll be a good one. Thank you all so very much for following, for subscribing, for all of that. And as long as I'm here, let me give Labby a shout out. Hot Labby. All right, folks, let me find someone to raid. Who's going on? Who's doing the thing? We got Swell Time G Pool. Ooh. Oh, Marigold, it's been so long. I gotta, yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's fine. This content may not be appropriate for me. Well, fuck off. All right, let's go raid. Looks like they're watching oh, it's Computer Chronicles. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Oh, they don't accept raids. That's fine. I'll find someone else to raid. Let's see. Who can I raid? How about Shino? Oh man, it's been a long time. How about Dino? All right, let's do that. Start the raid here. And I'll see y'all next week with some good stuff. Some good Christmas. Bye.